Good morning all, morning Roxanne. Blessed Sunday morning to you as well. And as always, thank you for my brooms. Sweeping time indeed. Still trying to find that song, Roxanne. I know I have it somewhere here, but we will find it. Cyril Mayas, morning sir. Shelton Lewis, morning to you. Althea, morning Alois, morning Aline. I am very glad to hear that you to read that you understand the assignment, Roxanne, and I trust that as we go forward, more persons will understand the assignment, which becomes more and more um, right. It becomes more and more urgent on a daily basis when we look at what is taking place in the politics, not just of Trinidad and Tobago, but around the world that has an impact on what is happening to us here. Marva James, morning to you. Phyllis Antoine, morning, Phyllis. I am good. Carlos Fodelier, good morning, sir. J Dimple, 66, morning. Grace, morning to you. Grace is locked on all the way from South Africa. Wow. So we're being seen all the way across on the continent. Excellent. Glenn Richardson, morning to you, sir. Marlon Blaze, good morning. Jennifer Nicholas, morning to you. Emmeline Harvey, Sarah Richards, Marlon Ellis, or Marianne Ellis, sorry. Morning to you guys. Joycelyn Smallwhite, morning, Joycelyn. I think Joycelyn recently celebrated her birthday, if I'm not mistaken. So if that is in fact the case, belated birthday greetings to you, Joycelyn. Deanne Charles, morning to you. What's his there? Christopher Serrett, morning, sir. Pauline Buckmeyer, morning to you. Nadia Lewis Dixon, Ruth Fronton, morning to you guys. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, First Lady Mauricia Keegan. Dandy Sanford, morning to you. Jennifer Dorset, Denise Reed, Alison Boyce, Merle Durant, morning to all of you. Jackie Graham, Angie Sherry, morning to you. You, Danny Bruce. Freddie Williams, Annette Baird, morning guys. Christopher Sylvester, Leon Joseph, morning to you. Anna Sisnett, morning Anna. Deem, is it? Rodney, Mikel, morning to you as well. What is there? Macaroni Tony, Jennifer Nicholas Shah, Emerson Brown, morning to all of you guys. Priscilla Holder. Okay, Joycelyn says her birthday is November, right? So it's probably another Joycelyn I saw then. No, we'll take note of that, Joycelyn, for the end of November. Rudy Nicholas, morning to you. Denise Coggins, Claire Irish, morning, Claire. Sarah Richards, morning. Cheryl Mitchell, morning to you. Is that I, Claudius Alexander? Morning, Gail Jack. Nicola McNichols, morning, my friend. How art thou? Theophilus Lockheed. Morning to you, Renwick Roberts. Roxanne, I'm looking for your song. If Nicole sees this, and she could send it back for me. Morning to Nicole. Candice Joseph, morning. Valerie Bowen, morning, Val. Or if anybody has it, you can send it to me on Messenger. I know somebody sent it to me. I think it was Nicole Caesar had sent that to me some time ago. Right, so let me jump into it. Lisa Atwater, good morning. Patricia Comena, Wilma Young, Arthur James, morning to you, Leon Graves. Let me start by extending congratulations to the Minister of Energy Industries, Stuart Young, on his appointment as acting Prime Minister in the absence of Dr. Rowley, who is attending a CARICOM meeting in Grenada. And so Mr. Young would have been tasked with the responsibility to act on behalf of the Prime Minister. And I think it is a well-deserved acting appointment. In fact, it's the first time since this administration has come into power that someone other than Colman Burt has acted as Prime Minister in the absence of Dr. Rowley from the country. And I think it is a clear indication that Dr. Rowley reposes confidence in Stuart Young to do a good job. I don't know if Mr. Imbert is in the country or not. But some may think that perhaps it's a sign of things to come. I don't know, but I just say congratulations to Minister Young. Right? And I'm sure that he will do a good job in the absence of the Prime Minister. Also, belated birthday greetings to our very own Mr. Chance, who celebrated his birthday, was it yesterday, I think? Or the day before, yeah. So, belated greetings to you again, Mr. Chance, and I trust that your day was well spent and it's also a memorable one. I expect that, folks in the event should probably have things to say about Stuart Young's acting. But we will see how that goes. For them, they are the conspiracy theorists, so we're likely to hear, well, is this the Prime Minister showing that he's lost confidence in Colin Burt and all of that foolishness. Anyway, not surprised. So let me get this here. Constance Abigail, good morning to you as well. Christopher Serrett, you and I are the same wavelength. Same wavelength, I am thinking. I support in that. Wholeheartedly. Indeed. Let me see here. Right. So, of course, we talk the politics stuff here. So we can't limit it to local politics. We need to indulge a bit in the international politics as well. I know there may be some folks who are looking at the Olympics. I took a little peep there just now. I tried to watch it last night, but they had what was it? What was I watching? Table tennis, and the person that they had, the announcer that they had, was none other than Anil Roberts. I couldn't listen. I just couldn't. I had to turn off my TV. I say, forget it. I don't need to hear that. The commentary was just, it was poor. It was terrible. It was exactly what you would expect from Anil Roberts. And I don't know if CMC, if they couldn't find anybody else but Anil Roberts to, because I'm getting the impression that whenever there is coverage of Caribbean athletes, that he would be the one who would be carrying the commentary. I won't be listening to that. So, yeah. So let me just get this here. Right. So there's another election. So we're in the election season. We talk the politics Trinidad, but right now, all eyes are on what's happening in the United States of America with respect to their elections, which is due in about 100 days' time. How the tables have turned in the space of 1 week. 1 week ago at this time, Joe Biden was getting ready to announce that he is not going to accept the Democratic nomination to be their nominee for president, and that he's endorsing Kamala Harris to do so in his stead. And in the space of 1 week, the political fortunes of both parties seem to have been turned upside down, with a number of endorsements coming the way of the Democrats. Kamala Harris has received endorsements from a number of labor unions and others. Her campaign has been raising quite a bit of money in the last week. You now have a number of new groups that are formed trying to raise monies for her, and so the likes of Black men for Kamala Harris, Black women for Kamala Harris. Now you have white women for Kamala Harris, white men for Kamala Harris. In fact, I think the white women for Kamala Harris are on course to raise more money for Harris than the Black women for Harris has done. So it speaks volumes, and I think they've seen about 100,000 new registered voters in the US, and the demographic is 18 to 34. That age group there, who are excited by the prospect of the first female president of the United States, and one of with African heritage, right? But there's another election that is taking place today that has not really caught the eyes of the media. and that is just across the pond in Venezuela. Their general election is being held today. Now, I wasn't aware of this until I visited the Facebook page of former Minister of Energy, Kevin Ramnarain. Why did I visit Mr. Ramnarain's Facebook page? Well, I've been doing so since Thursday morning, as you all are aware, coming on the heels of the announcement on Wednesday night, that Venezuela signed a contract with BPTT for the exploitation of gas at the Manikin Coquina field, which is something that has been in the train for quite a while and was yet another one of Stuart Young's achievements, right? And so I wanted to see if Mr. Ramnarain would have had any comment to make on that, And as is to be expected, no comment was made. In fact, he didn't even post it. But what he did post, however, on Thursday was a clip. Venezuela's election, higher voter participation could widen the opposition margin of victory. Right? And he puts it's a chart showing the number of voters and the things that the voters are interested in and so on, an estimated number of votes for the different candidates and so on. Then he posted a Guardian editorial entitled "Come Clean on TNT's Death, Mr. Imbert," with the caption, "I read what the Guardian wrote and I saw nothing inaccurate in its contents. We're not surprised." And then he posted 4 hours ago an AP article, "Venezuelan election could lead to seismic shift in politics or give President Maduro 6 more years." And his caption is, "An election with major consequences for Trinidad and Tobago, but no commentary and analysis from local media." So I guess he expected the media to focus on that in the same way that the UNC is focusing on it. Perhaps he was hoping for them to give him a call to ask him questions on that. And one was the fact that Mr. Ramnarain posted not 1 but 2 articles about Venezuela's elections, to me, is very telling. It says that is at the forefront. What's happening in Venezuela is at the forefront of the mind and attention of the United National Congress. And for good reason, right? For them, that is. Because the outcome of that election today could spell gloom and doom for them, or it could give them a lifeline. Because if Maduro wins, then that's not good for them if perchance they come back into office next year. Not good for them, right? Because they have vilified Maduro and his administration so much that I highly doubt Mr. Maduro would want to have any dealings with them if they were to come in power. And secondly, how do you now reconcile, after you criticize the Rowley administration for cavorting and with a dictator, and they cozying up with this dictator and all of that, how do you now reconcile those criticisms with you now having to have diplomatic relations with the very same dictator? It's difficult for them. So they would prefer to have Nicolas Maduro lose today. Now, if Maduro loses, that's still good for Trinidad and Tobago, because if Maduro loses and the replacement government is pro-democracy, which is expected they would be, that would then lead to the lifting of sanctions by the United States of America, because that's what America wants. They want a democratic government in Venezuela, one that is wholly democratic, one that ascribes to free and fair elections and the likes of it, and therefore one that is willing to work with the US government. And if that happens, then sanctions will be lifted, and so Trinidad and Tobago will be good to go. But then that would depend, well, it wouldn't. But then it wouldn't matter really who wins in November in the US, because whether Kamala Harris wins or Donald Trump wins, the fact of the matter is that if Maduro loses, then either administration are likely to lift sanctions on Venezuela, which is good for us. The problem is that Trump has stated on many an occasion that should he return to office, his intention is to make the United States not only energy independent, but the leading exporter of oil and natural gas in the world. Venezuela, as we know, has the world's largest proven oil reserves, and therefore lifting those sanctions might not be a priority for a Trump administration, because to lift those sanctions would mean that Venezuela would now be or return to the top of oil producing countries, I suppose, which would rival the United States and Trump's desire for the US to become the top exporter of oil and gas, right? So even though, he might drag his feet and say, yeah, we'll get to that at some point in time, but not right now. So that too could be a challenge, right? Now, if Maduro loses and the Democrats win, again, lifting of sanctions. If Maduro wins and the Democrats win, still works for us because we will now have a very powerful friend in the White House in the person of Kamala Harris, who is well aware of Trinidad and Tobago's energy position, who would have met with Stuart Young on numerous occasions, and she would now be in a better position to be able to advance our position. So it would be good, right? But the focus of the UNC with respect to what happens in Venezuela today, and I'm sure they're sitting down, biting their nails and praying, hoping that Maduro loses, so that if perchance they come back into office next year, that's one less headache that they have to deal with, right? If he wins, there's problems for them. If he loses, and the new government comes into place, then the question is whether or not, how will that impact relations with Trinidad and Tobago? Because this new administration will now have to meet with our government, meet with our Minister of Energy, probably to look at the deals that have been signed so far and all of that. So, yeah. But it should be noted that we have people in this country who want to be the next government of Trinidad and Tobago and have a problem with and would not take the time to congratulate the current administration on what they have done with respect to the energy sector. Any bad news, they're quick to post. I went on David Lee's page as well, because remember I read for you all on Thursday, David Lee was so concerned about the negotiations between BPTT and Venezuela with respect to the Manakin Coquina field. So his concerns were put to rest last week, Wednesday night. But of course, Mr. Lee has not posted anything on his Facebook page with respect to that. No congratulations to Stuart Young. No congratulations to the government. No indication. And you see, that is what they will post up, the negative things on their Facebook pages for their supporters to read. The bad news, or what they think is bad news, they will post that. But the good news, they're not interested in posting that. Not interested at all. Because they must not give this government any fillip with respect to its electoral chances next year. And that is unfortunate. But the current administration must understand as well that they have to toot their own horn, because nobody else can do it for them. The UNC is not going to do it. Other opposition forces not going to do it, and the media sure as hell not going to do it, right? And we see that every day when you pick up the newspaper, the media are not interested in that. Because anyway, if that isn't evident, I don't know what else is. And the amount of misinformation that there is out there, again, it underscores the need for the government to ramp up its public relations. So many good things happening, but people just not hearing about it. Or not enough people are hearing about it. And that's the problem. But the channels that spreading the bad news and the channels that spreading the false news, the fake news, the propaganda, they just keep growing on a daily basis. Daily basis. The amount of people that I have to be fighting with in the comments on Facebook is amazing. The amount of misinformation that you're seeing in the comments. And we need to understand these are the things that will inform the decisions of persons next year as to whether or not they're going to vote, and if they do decide they're going to vote, who they're going to vote for. So there was an article last week, and the same editorial that I mentioned to you all about that Kevin Ramnarine posted. Come clean, Mr. Embut, on the country's debt, right? And the claim was made that the government borrowed $14 billion in the last, how much months or for the year so far. And the Minister of Finance had to come out and put out a press release denouncing that and explaining what the facts are. But the media is not interested in publishing that. And if they do, they'll probably publish it somewhere far down in the newspapers or so on. But they're not interested in facts and they're not interested in truth. So how many people would have seen that press release that Mr. Inwood would have sent out? Not many. I saw it, somebody reposted it from one of the PNM Facebook pages. And that was the only time I saw it. I saw it nowhere else. Well, other than on WhatsApp groups that I'm in where you have certain persons who post stuff for the for the PNM, right? But otherwise that they're not seeing anything. And so people out there, they're still talking about this $3 billion that's missing and the Auditor General and so on. Despite the efforts of the minister to explain in the parliament, despite his efforts on the couple press conferences that he did, but otherwise to that, the amount of people out there who still talking about this $3 billion. How else to explain it to them that there was no $3 billion missing, right? The ministry would have indicated that the government earned $64 billion in revenue. However, because of a glitch with respect to the processing of a check that was supposed to be a VAT refund check, there was an error in that processing, which would have resulted in the understatement of the government's actual revenue position. That is what it is. And the minister would have announced that sometime next month, August, that the Auditor General is going to provide the revised, the amended report, which will show the correct figures and so on. But apparently all these people didn't see that. And I continue to maintain, and people need to understand, that while the supporters of the fully done's are the ones who keep pushing this thing about 3 billion missing and 3 billion missing, and where the 3 billion gone, at no point in time did anybody in the hierarchy of the UNC say $3 billion missing. Not the leader of the opposition, not Rudal Munilal, not David Lee, none of them have said $3 billion missing because they understand what the situation is. And so they have not said that, but they would not educate their supporters on what is fact because it is in their best interest for the misinformation to continue out there. That is why I keep saying the government needs to change its approach. There should have been at least one public meeting or two public meetings where the Minister of Finance would have appeared and he could have spoken on the issue, right? To provide people with a more detailed explanation so that they could use that, they can have that rather than what currently obtains, right? So the misinformation is being spread and the counter to it is woefully lacking. So unless and until the Auditor General presents, and even when the Auditor General provides the amended report, you're going to hear the conspiracy theorists probably say that they force her to do that or some kind, but you can't force her to do nothing. That is evident. Because if the government tried to force the Auditor General to do anything, she run in by Annan for Annan to send out another pre-action protocol letter, right? So that theory makes absolutely no sense. But that is what they're going to come with. Because they cannot accept, this is something that they hug up since April, that $3 billion missing or $3.3 billion missing and the minister can't find it and where the money gone. But when it is that the facts come out and it debunks that foolishness, they can't accept that because, all right, well, we have to attack the government. So you know what? We continue with the 3.3 billion missing. We don't care what Mbud say. We don't care about what the report say. We go in with the original thing, and that is that. Because they probably gerrymander the report, and all of that foolishness is what you're going to hear, right? So they don't want to hear nothing. They don't want to hear no truth. Forget that. They're running with that for the rest of the term until election comes. Because half of them don't read, so they ain't even going to bother to read anyway. The Headline Readers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, they're going to see this, and then they're not interested. So, again, I am calling for, more public meetings on my party to counter the Monday night forum, which seems to be on a pause for the time being. Parliament is on recess, so maybe some of the persons who would be normal speakers probably out of the country, I don't know. But they haven't the budget consultations taking place. Point of which I don't understand because they can't really do nothing to help anybody. So all these talking points that they get in is simply to provide material for the leader of the opposition when she has to respond to the budget in October, for her to just basically come and regurgitate the things that everybody said. And what is even more unfortunate is that when they have these budget consultations and the public come up to the microphone and say things that is incorrect, they wouldn't correct the people. I say, But anyway, I'm going to leave that there, right? Let me leave that there. So it appears that Vasan Bharat and Mrs. Prasad Bisesa have decided to bury the hatchet. The same Vasan Bharat that she called an elitist Indian, the same Vasan Bharat that they said was a knife and fork Indian, the same Vasan Bharat that they accused of being in cahoots with the PNM. Yes, so Mr. Bharat put out a release on the 26th of July. I am happy to be working closely with the leadership of the UNC to strengthen our party and serve the best interests of our nation. Over the last few months, I have reflected deeply on the challenges we face as a country and the urgent need for effective leadership. The UNC has a proud history of delivering positive results for Trinidad and Tobago. Under Mrs. Prasad-Bissasa's leadership, whose approach has always been to place people at the heart of our policies, ensuring every citizen has the opportunity to thrive, we implemented vital projects and policies that fostered safer communities and a more prosperous economy. Under the UNC, we made significant strides in enhancing healthcare, driving economic growth, and adopting a more inclusive approach to governance that truly prioritizes the needs of our citizens. My past differences with the UNC leadership pale in comparison to the pervasive issues that plague the country under the incompetent and corrupt hands of the PNM. The PNM, which has been in government more than any other party, has consistently fallen short of the expectations of our people, achieving less in their over 40 years in government than the UNC administrations of 1995, 2001, and 2010 to 2015. Let me read that again. The PNM, which has been in government for more than any other party, has consistently fallen short of expectations of our people, achieving less in their over 40 years in government than the UNC administrations of 95 to 2001 and 2010 to 2015. The PNM lacks accountability and fiscal management, has allowed crime to reach record highs, and has failed to maintain our basic infrastructure. Mrs. Prasad-Bissassa has demonstrated the ultimate leadership by setting aside personal differences for the sake of our country, and has asked me to join hands to rebuild our nation together. I am determined to work collaboratively to rebuild trust, develop a robust strategy, and get the party ready to challenge the PNM. We must restore faith in our institutions, create economic growth, and ensure a safe and secure environment for all citizens. It is imperative that we present a united front, offering hope and tangible solutions to the challenges that face us. This is not just about politics, it's about building a future that we can all be proud of. Together, we can make a difference and create a brighter future for Trinidad and Tobago. All hands on deck, in service to the people of Asanbar. What a shameless soul. So I wonder how Prasad-Bissassa is feeling now that he is stating that she approached him. Hey, Vasant, let bygones be bygones now. Yeah, so I don't think you're an elitist Indian anymore. I don't think you're a knife and fork Indian anymore. I don't think you're a Makaram anymore for challenging me for the leadership. Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just all up in my feelings at the time because they challenged me for the leadership now, but I wasn't serious. Come back home now. Come back. Jack is back couldn't help you. Gary the Great couldn't help you. OWTU joining with you couldn't help you. Right? You realize that there's 3 dead horses. That ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. So you're trying to see how many other horses you could pull back in. Vasant Bharat? Really? That is going to help the political success of that party? Talk about scraping the barrel. But you know, every time I read or hear these clowns talk about how they did more in the 2 administrations, UNC administrations, and the PNM has done in over 40 years. And you know, the US, the citizens of the United States of America are questioning the mental acuity of their current president, and to some extent that of the man who wants to replace him. But we need to start questioning the mental acuity of some of the people in this country who are telling you that they know how to run the country and put them back in office. What utter rubbish that in between 2010 to 20... Now, if you want to tell me they did more in terms of corruption, yes, I will accept that. If you want to tell me they did more than the PNM has done in the over 40 years in terms of bobble, racket, scandal, oh yes, they did that. But don't come and tell me when it comes to development of this country that you all did more. What did you do? What did the UNC do? And you know, whenever you ask the supporters that question, they can't answer it. But they will continue to parrot that stupidness, that foolishness. The fact that the PNM was in office for 5 consecutive terms, right? From 1956 to 86, right? For 6 consecutive terms. Tells you that them talking rubbish. Because nobody puts a gun to the heads of the citizens, right? For that 30 years and say, hey, vote for the PNM or else. Nobody did that. Eric Williams didn't stand up outside every polling station and everybody that come. Is that PNM? No, it's not a PNM. Well, you better vote for the PNM. That didn't happen. The citizens went election after election after election and voted for the PNM because they had confidence in the policies of the People's National Movement. Let us not forget that had it not been for the PNM, we might still be under colonial rule. That when it was Dr. Williams wanted and the PNM wanted independence, it was the forerunner to the current UNC. Didn't want it. Went all the way to Marlborough House to say, we're not supporting that. We don't want no independence. We want to continue under Her Majesty, the Queen. Right? And were it not for the astute negotiation skills of Mr. Williams to put sense in Capilio head, where would we be? But they don't study that. So this nonsense, I mean, you know, as really as that are mad people we have wanting to be leaders in this country. You know? That for somebody as like Vasan Bharat, who's supposed to be bright, he's supposed to be among the ilk of men and women of letters talking that absolute garbage, rubbish, foolishness. Well, let me remind you all who Vasan Bharat is, right? Especially for the supporters of that party. Let me remind all you who he is. And to show you why you can't trust these people, right? Vasan Bharat should be before the courts today in this country. He have case to answer, or should have had a case to answer, were it not for the former Commissioner of Police, head of the NTA, who wants to be the next Member of Parliament for St. Joseph and possibly the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And this is why sometimes people don't have trust and confidence in politicians, right? So this announcement by Vasan Bharat that he and Kamla decide to bury the hatchet. They're ready to let bygones be bygones. They want to hug up and sing Kumbaya, right? They're ready to, according to Watson Duke, smoke the peace pipe and drink the healing bush. They're ready to do that. They've been talking over the last few months and so on, and they're ready to do that. Gary Griffith, seeing that, should have said, you see me? Well, right, that's the day. I don't want nothing to do with the UNC after that. Why? Let me remind you all. But before I read that, let me just touch on this quickly. Newsday, or rather, Daily Express article dated December 4, 2020 by Anna Ramdas, entitled Vasant in cahoots with the PNM, says opposition leader. Vasant Bharat is in cahoots with the People's National Movement, says opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and she vowed he will never be allowed to take over the UNC. Speaking at a virtual meeting on Thursday, Persad-Bissessar said Bharat and those on his team attacked the UNC and have openly campaigned for the PNM. She said Bharat campaigned with the PNM in Moruga Tableland and with its candidate Winston Gypsy Peters in the August general election, without calling names but referring to former UNC member Jack Warner, who has thrown his support behind Bharat. Persad-Bissessar said he too also campaigned with the PNM against the UNC. And she noted that Warner had openly confessed to strategizing with the PNM in the 2015 election. You have two people who from other parties who are not even UNC members campaigning with him, she said, and adding that the unsuccessful PNM candidates are also part of Bharat's team. These are the people you want to foist on the UNC and remove the sons and daughters of the UNC. You hate them. You say on your platform, all are we coming back? Well, you're not coming back. You're not coming back, she said. You don't go and fraternize with the PNM and fraternize with people from other parties and come to say you want to lead the UNC and all are we coming back, she added. Attacked own party, Persad-Bissessar questioned what Bharat intends to do with all the new people in the opposition team focused on moving forward. You attacked your own party, you denigrated members of your own party. You now want to come and lead this party? I say, no way that is going to happen. She said for years, Warner used a newspaper to attack the UNC and campaign for the PNM. And she said she gave him the name for the newspaper. I said, we are about sun, the rising sun, call it sunshine, she said. And Persad-Bissessar said her opponents know that without the UNC base, they will never see the doorway into the parliament again. And they know that without our base, not one of them could win a seat. She also chided those who were claiming to be responsible for her becoming prime minister in 2010. You made me prime minister? It's the people of Trinidad and Tobago who made me prime minister. And if you were so good, you would have been able to make your own self prime minister. That's Kamla Persad-Bissessar, right? Vasant was in cahoots with the PNM. But the other day she questioned Rushton Parry. Because before Rushton Parry became a UNC MP, he gave some money to the PNM for some other election campaign some time ago. And he gave money to the UNC2 and other parties. Right? So he was just sharing the wealth. And because of that, they say he's a Mahani Makaram. Right? She said, yeah, Ravi said, what is the term they're using? The Makaram. Ravi just said he's a Mahani Makaram. She tell you all kind of thing about Parry because Parry gave money to the PNM. But here it is, you're saying Vasant was in cahoots with the PNM. But you approach him, you're ready for a rapprochement. Let me hug up and kiss and make up. Right? Let me remind all you who Vasant Bharat is. And why persons like him should never be back in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. Ever. These blasted hypocrites. Where is it? Let me get it here. This is a Guardian article dated the 1st of February 2015, entitled, Griffith Threatens to Walk. National Security Minister Gary Griffith is threatening to quit in the face of a scathing press release issued by Communications Minister Vasant Bharat. Bharat yesterday accused him of making false claims and compromising the integrity of cabinet. Bharat was referring to reports that Griffith claimed he was pressured by his cabinet colleagues not to support a criminal complaint by Police Complaints Authority Director David West. West claimed on Thursday that Attorney General Anand Ramlogan asked him to withdraw his witness statement in a defamation case between Ramlogan and the opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley in exchange for a PCA post. Griffith is now threatening to expose private details of a meeting he and his wife, Congress of the People Chairman Nicole Dyer Griffith, was summoned to with Bharat and United National Congress campaign and advertising consultant Ernie Ross on Thursday in Woodbrook. In a subsequent interview, though, Bharat denied calling Dyer Griffith to any meeting, and he also denied being present at any meeting with Dyer Griffith and Ross. In a telephone interview yesterday, a livid Griffith, who was at the National Panorama semi-finals at the Queen's Park Savannah in Port of Spain, said that he was surprised that Bharat would be the first to say there was no cabinet pressure on him to not support West. Griffith also criticized Bharat, claiming that the move to discredit him was a red herring designed to push him out of office. I do not need to sell my soul for a political seat, and I am not begging anyone to stay. I could walk out of the government tomorrow with my head held high, Griffith said. Griffith said Bharat never contacted him before issuing the statement and was shocked that Bharat would make such a damning statement without verifying whether he did in fact say that cabinet was putting pressure on him not to support West. It is surprising and ironic that the Minister of Communication is the first to jump out and make those statements. And it is ironic that he, of all people, would be saying that, but you know what? But you know what they say about people who protest too much, Griffith said. He said it was interesting that Bharat would make such statements as if he forgot what played off between the four of us at a meeting at Ross's office on Thursday, after news broke that Griffith was in fact maintaining that he would remain a witness against Ramlogan. The court of public opinion could judge me and I could keep my head high, but I want Bharat to answer to the country what he was doing up in Ernie Ross's office on Thursday and why they summoned me and Mrs. Griffith to a meeting and what was said there, Griffith said. The Minister of Communication lacks the most basic common sense and manners if he cannot contact me before making these statements. Let them continue. I have no intention to lie to protect anyone, and I am not going to be pressured to lie, Griffith said. Despite Griffith's threats, it was Bharat who drew first blood yesterday when he issued a media statement saying that Griffith's word and actions had compromised the integrity of the cabinet. Cabinet confusion. Former Attorney General Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj said on Saturday that the entire cabinet could be the subject of a police investigation if it was proven that pressure had been applied to Griffith to withdraw his statement in support of David West. The media release carried the headline, Bharat, Griffith's claims false and without basis, and went on to say that Griffith's claim that he was pressured by cabinet was completely false and without any basis whatsoever. Any suggestion that such a request was made of the National Security Minister at a meeting of cabinet last Thursday is completely and utterly false. The cabinet never at any time attempted to do so as Mr. Griffith has claimed. In dismissing the claims, Minister Bharat added, more than Mr. Griffith's claims being completely untrue, is the fact that he has, by his actions, compromised the integrity of cabinet and has done so without any clear or rational reason. The irony of these claims are also very stark when one considers that it is the government that has done the most to not only maintain but improve the process and mechanisms that promote accountability and transparency in government, Barrett said. Where is it, boy? Just right. So there was another, I think there's another article where Barrett first claimed, now it had no meeting between, I don't know what Gary Griffith talking about. It had no meeting between myself, himself, his wife, and Ernie Ross. And then later, Ernie Ross also denied that. Remember, Ernie Ross was the famous ad man. You remember the $20 million happiness campaign, where they spent $20 million at least? So I think I heard Stuart Chung said was more than that. Can't remember the exact figure. He said was more than that, right? Where they took money from NGC because NGC was the milch cow. And they used that money to have a happiness campaign. All kind of ads to tell you and to tell me what it means to be happy, or what happiness means, right? And who got the bulk of that money? Ernie Ross. And every time I talk about that, I always say, you would have made a lot more people happy if you all had taken that money and stand up on Frederick Street and as people pass, hand them $100. Or even hand them $50. Or even $20. There would have been plenty of people, because I'm sure there were some people walking on Frederick Street, Charlotte Street, wherever, wondering where they're getting money from passage to go home. I would have been happy to receive a $20 or $50 or $100 from the government directly, rather than they're on their phone, or they're sitting in a maxi, or they're watching TV and saying, happiness, what does happiness mean? You don't know where the next meal coming from, but the government spending your taxpayers' money to tell you what happiness means, right? What $20 million in NGC money spent. But the supporters will talk about that. That same Ernie Ross ended up coming out after and saying, well, yes, there was in fact a meeting with myself, Vasant Bharat, Gary Griffith and his wife, but we didn't discuss anything with respect to Mr. Griffith withdrawing his statement. See if I get that. Can I find that here, boy? Right. Ross changes his tune. In the face of impending criminal complaint to be filed by fired National Security Minister Gary Griffith, government's chief public relations consultant Ernie Ross has changed his tune and is now confirming he did meet with Griffith and his wife at his St. Clair office last Thursday. And that meeting, which took place hours after the Police Complaints Authority Director David West filed a criminal complaint against former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, was first made public by Griffith and had been stoutly denied by Ross and Communications Minister Vasant Bharat. Griffith, who has been identified as a critical witness in support of West's complaint, had threatened to tell all about the details of what took place at that meeting. The former minister said then his wife, Nicole Dyer Griffith, chair of the Congress of the People, and Bharat were present at the meeting. Ross, who denied Bharat was part of the meeting, and the minister also said he was not present. Details of those discussions have now formed part of Griffith's report to the police. The police will now have to determine whether Ross's intervention amounted to an attempt to pervert the course of justice by reportedly advising Griffith to withdraw his witness statement in support of West. And on Sunday, just hours before Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa made her fourth cabinet reshuffle in as many years, Bharat sent out a statement condemning Griffith for accusing cabinet members of attempting to influence him to back off from supporting West. Griffith shot back, saying he had never made such a claim and Bharat never consulted him before sending out the statement. In an interview on Tuesday, Ross, when questioned about the meeting, denied it ever took place and said the matter was now in the hands of his lawyers. But yesterday, Ross, in a telephone interview, admitted that he met with Griffith and his wife on Thursday, just as Griffith had originally said. He said he sat in that meeting in an informal role, right? Ross had a full-page advertisement in today's right. Now, you all may recall the story around that, where Gary Griffith is on record as having said that he arrived late to the cabinet meeting that day, that Tuesday, or whatever day they used to have it. Prasad Bisesa was out of the country at the time, and the acting prime minister was one Errol MacLeod. I recall it very well. Griffith said that when he got to the meeting, he arrived late because he was dealing with some other national security issues, that Errol MacLeod would have handed over chairmanship of the cabinet meeting. I think it was to, if memory serves me correctly, to then Minister of Finance, Larry Hawaii. And Errol MacLeod, Vasant Bharat, And Rudal Munilal got up and they took him to a side room off of the cabinet room to have a discussion with him. And they said, Vasan Bharat, the claim was, the allegation he made was that Bharat was the one who did most of the talking. And they essentially tried to convince him to take one for the team, to pull back his statement, say, he made a mistake and whatever, he was confused, what, as the case may be. Right? He said that. And as I would have read just now for you, where Ramesh Maharaj said on that basis that at least 3 government ministers should have been investigated by the police for misbehavior in public office attempting to pervert the course of justice. The same thing that Anand Ramlogan is now before the court for. But we know how that played out, right? This one said that's not true and that one said it's not true and whatnot and stuff. At the end of the day, the only people who get a throat bust was Anand and Gary. But Kamala didn't fire Harold, she didn't fire Vasant, and she didn't fire Munila. Despite what Gary Griffith said in the public, right? And I'm sure if I search enough, I could find the article where he detailed all of these things. So that he accused 3 government ministers of misbehavior in public office and attempting to pervert the course of justice. 3 years later, he was appointed Commissioner of Police. Did he pursue that matter? Was there statute of limitations on that? So you made a claim that that they tried to draw you into conspiracy to misbehave in public office and witness tampering, which is serious crimes. And as Commissioner of Police, you did not investigate. You did not cause an investigation to take place. Vasan Bharat, right? Same Vasan Bharat, who said, that's a lie, that's not true, as the case may be. Basically called Gary Griffith a damn blasted liar. But today, Griffith is more than, based on what we see here, now that there has been this reconciliation between Kamala and Vasant, and there is talk about Vasant possibly replacing Khadija Amin as the candidate for St. Augustine in the next election. And if that is so, and Gary Griffith is still holding out hope for some sort of accommodation between his party and the UNC, with the expectation that should they win, he would be Minister of National Security more than likely, or Minister of Home Affairs, or Minister, or any, because it's 4 ministries she plans to establish to deal with crime. Ministry of National Security, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Justice, and I can't remember what was the 4th one. See the other one, boy? Can't remember. It's a 4th one. Can't remember at the moment. 4. So he probably get one of those positions. He is prepared to sit in a cabinet with Vasan Bharat. The same man who he accused of trying to get him to misbehave in public office. The same man who he accused of engaging in witness tampering. You are saying, well, yeah, let bygones be bygones. That's that's small thing, man. That's small thing. I have no problem sitting face to face with this man in a cabinet meeting with Rudal Munilal. Well, Earl McLeod gone, right? He have no problem sitting in the same cabinet with them again after accusing them of such. Well, if it is Gary Griffith was lying, how come Vasan Bharat didn't sue him? Because he said it in the public. Why he didn't sue him? And after you all lied and said such a meeting never took place, and then Uniros come and say, yes, the meeting took place. Again, where they try to double down and reinforce and to get Mr. Griffith to backtrack. Take one for the team. When it is, Rodney Charles said, nobody of integrity wants to associate themselves with the UNC. You know what he was talking about. And again, one has to question Mr. Bharat's integrity. This is the same man who, when he was Minister of Agriculture, had the ministry purchase for him a Porsche Cayenne. Yes, remember the purple Porsche Cayenne that caused controversy? Because apparently the SUVs that they had in the ministry wasn't good enough for him. And when they asked, well, why did you buy this particular vehicle? He said, well, it handles well on certain terrain. As Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Food Production, and so on. There are certain terrain that I would need to go on, and this is the best. So you tell the Porsche Cayenne, which is a luxury vehicle, better to go off-road than the Prados and the Fortunas that they had in the ministry. But when they came into office in 2010, they met a whole string of Prados and Fortunas that had been purchased by the Manning administration for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and the Summit of the Americas in 2009. All these vehicles they had, brand new top-of-the-line vehicles are designed to go off-road. And in an attempt to spite Manning and the PNM administration, Mr. Warner Ben, who was Minister of, what was he, Minister of Works and Transport at the time, said we're going to auction all the vehicles to make back the money. We're going to give some to the police and the rest we will auction. Right? But ministries needed vehicles, but all you're going on auction and then to come now and spend money to buy brand new vehicles for these ministries. At one point in time, you could have gone to the Hyatt and see these vehicles parked up, Prados and Fortunas parked up on the first level, and the Hyatt car park collecting dust like they had been there for years. But they were spending money to buy more vehicles when they had the Hoop of Life program, right? Hoop of Life program, they spent over 1.2 million or something, or close to $2 million in leasing vehicles, high-end vehicles for the directors of the Hoop of Life program, because they couldn't drive around in normal vehicles. But you had Prado parked up, Prados that you could have distributed across ministries. Now we have to sell it and make back the money for the population and the country, because Manning wasteful, all that money he spent on Summit of the Americas to bring Obama here, and all this money he spent Chogam, to host Chogam so that the Queen could have come here and who not. But Bas and Bayard want to come and tell you that they did more between 1995 to 2001. The Piaco Airport. Rocked, steeped in scandal. How much money thief. Foreigners and locals are like thief. Like themselves. But you won't talk about that. Yeah, they did more to develop this country between 1995 to 2001 and 2010 to 2015. Really? And I keep asking. 2010 to 2015, okay. Where is the People's Partnership equivalent of NAPA? Where is the People's Partnership equivalent of SAPA? Where is the People's Partnership equivalent of the waterfront? Where is the People's Partnership equivalent of government campus that today is saving the state hundreds of millions of dollars in rent money? For 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, government campus remained empty. All they had to do, the same money that they spent on rent, they could have taken that money to outfit government campus and do what this administration did. Move in ministries and stop renting. Today, Customs is no longer renting from Issa Nicholas, that blue glass building at the corner of Abercrombie Street and Independence Square. Has been empty for the last 7 or 8 years. Empty. Customs now has their own state-of-the-art building on Ajax Street. The Ministry of Finance, Board of Inland Revenue, that used to be renting building places all over the place. Their headquarters, head office was on the corner of Queen and Edward Street. That little building there. Empty for the last 7 years. Because the Board of Inland Revenue has their own tower. I think it's 24 stories. They have that tower. Ministry of Education, that was renting little offices all over the place, and the head office was in St. Clair. I think now the firearms unit, where you had to apply for your firearm user's license, occupies that building there now, right? They now have their own tower. The Office of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, right? They occupy a tower there now. Because this government had the good sense in the refurbishment of the Red House, that what was proposed was a companion building to provide offices for all members of parliament, which is something that was unheard of before. So you see, like in the United States with their Congress, where the members of Congress have an office, right, on Capitol Hill, we didn't have that here. So the intention of the People's Partnership was to tear down all those buildings north of the Red House, which includes the regiment headquarters, the Ministry of National Security, where Israel Khan's lower chambers is. There's a car park after that. That block going around there, which houses the Magistrates Court, which is now under renovation. You should see the Magistrates Court now. For those of you who drive down St. Vincent Street, look and see how beautiful it is looking. Before it was looking like a rundown old shanty. Now it is under renovation. Looking good. One of the many buildings, historic buildings around Port of Spain, that this PNM administration has sought to fix up, right? To make Port of Spain look better. The Magistrates Court, the main court in Port of Spain, other than the Hall of Justice, that under them for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days was looking rundown, paint, chip, all kind of thing, right? Today, this administration has it looking like a brand new building. And it's still under renovation. But their plan was to tear down all of that and build a new companion building there for almost $500 million. You know what this administration did? They outfitted government campus, moved the office of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, out of Cabildo Chambers, which is the building directly behind the Red House, which is now connected by the overhead walkway. They converted that into the companion building, retrofitted it to put offices inside there for members of parliament. And the building that was standing down at the bottom of the street, right, on Richmond Street, for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, which only needed to be outfitted when they came in, when the People's Partnership came into office. Today, that building houses the office of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs. Unlike what obtained when the People's Partnership was in office, just that companion building, Cabildo Chambers, housed the Ministry of the Attorney General, and then they had a separate Ministry for Legal Affairs. They were renting a building down on South Key, the building just before Courts, where Courts used to be there. Now it's just Courts Optical. The building has since been demolished, but they were renting that building there. But this government had the good sense to do that. They didn't think about that. Maybe they did think about it, but the better thing to do would be to tear down the building. So we give our big contractor, one of our friends, family financiers, to tear it down, and then we construct a new companion building, and we pay hundreds of millions of dollars, and we eat our food, drink our juice, and veg. But the only thing it cost this government was to retrofit Cabildo Chambers and put the walkover. Yes, your government did that. But your government could have done the same thing that the partnership wanted to do. And thief. But they didn't do that. And they saved you, the taxpayers, over $500 million. But if the People's Partnership had won in 2015, bet your bottom dollar, that's another $500 million that would have gone down the drain. And there might have been a cost overrun too. But no appreciation for that. Apparently, Vass and Barrett don't know about that. But want to come and give you a cock and bull about the UNC between 1995 to 2001 and 2010 to 2015 did more than the PNM in the over 51 years that they have had the opportunity to run this country. He need a checkup from the neck up. I don't know if perhaps maybe, anyway, let me not go there. But it is good to remind, where is the People's Partnership equivalent of the Prime Minister's residence and diplomatic center? Where is their equivalent of that? Where is the People's Partnership equivalent of the Chancery Lane office complex that was supposed to provide office facilities for government ministries in San Fernando so that to reduce the government's rental bill in San Fernando? Where is the People's Partnership equivalent of that? Asking Vassanbar, where is it? Show me what the UNC People's Partnership built between 2010 to 2015 that is comparable to any of those things that I mentioned. Where is it? Just the waterfront alone, if we were to talk about that modernized the landscape and modernize the skyline of Port of Spain. So much so that you have foreigners, the like of Wodemeyer, coming to Trinidad and Tobago and was amazed by that. Showcased it to the world, how beautiful it looked. Thought that he was in New York for a moment. What did they build that is comparative to that? They criticized it when it was under construction, though. Kamala Prasad says, Manning overheating the economy, crowding out the private sector. You can't even get a mason or a carpenter. You want to buy blocks and cement. You have to wait 6 months because the government buying up all. Because at that time she was building the Pink Palace, churrup. But the little money that she put aside, she and Gregory's a doctor and she's a lawyer. For 10 years they couldn't build house, but she became prime minister in the space of 6 months to 1 year. The house not only finished, it grew. Get interest in 6 months to a year. But for 10 years, well, you couldn't do that. We'll buy a pallet of blocks this week. Next month, we'll buy another pallet of blocks. And so you're going churrup. We're supposed to believe that. Right? But according to they did more to develop this country. Really? Take $7 billion from the Treasury to build a highway that still was not completed. Took this administration to complete it. Look at what is happening up in Manzanilla. The Manzanilla Road. That under them, when rain fell and the road collapsed, they did work. They fixed the road. And what happened? Rain fell again under this administration and the same road, sectional road that they fixed, so great, collapsed again. Now this government has done human service with what is going up there. But a year ago, when it is that the temporary road that was put in place to facilitate and allow for the main road to be fixed. And all them people was complaining, look at all that money they spend, and the road, look at the state of the road, and this thing at last. The brand new road, they're looking very good. You see them doing any Facebook Live? You see them doing it, taking pictures and posting and say, yes, good job, government? No, but when that you saw the media go up there, any of these television stations go to do a story and talk about it and highlight it on their own without the ministry having to call them, because Rohan Sinanan went up there sometime last week with members from his ministry to look at the work that is taking place on a section of the road. You see them do that? No. But the president of Guyana and the Minister of Works, the Minister of Works in Guyana, Works and Transport, I think, whoever it is, in Guyana, some time ago, recently, visited a job site and decided to fire the, grandstanding now, decided to fire the contractor on the spot because the quantum of work that has been done, given the length of time that the contractor has been on the job, was unsatisfactory. And the minister immediately decided to fire the contractor on the spot. And telling some officials from his ministry, I needed to bring the name of 5 contractors for me by 3 o'clock this evening so that we can do an assessment and an analysis and award a new contract. And you have these same bastards in Trinidad here sharing that video and applauding that. Yes, that is minister. That's how you're supposed to do the thing. That's what we have here with Rohan Sinanan and so on. You feel if Rohan Sinanan were to go and do something like that on a project and say, hey, you're fired, and tell some official, bring the names of 3 contractors for me or 5 contractors for me by 3 o'clock this evening, and me and I will sit down with 2 or 3 technocrats in my ministry and we will go through and we will just appoint or give somebody the contract. You feel the UNC would allow that? You will hear about bid rigging. We will hear about the procurement process and the procurement legislation and the procurement regulator, and the government and the minister can't do that because they have a problem with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy going abroad and negotiating with these energy companies, right, with respect to gas pricing and so on. They want to tell you that is corruption. When you listen to Professor Misinformation on that station, that is corruption. The minister can't do that. But the same people praising the Minister of Works in Guyana for firing a contractor on the spot and giving instructions, just bring the names of 5 contractors to me by 3 o'clock this evening and we will award the contract to one of them. Because apparently that's how we just do it. No proper procurement. You don't go out for tender and all of that. The minister will just make a choice. Right, we're going with he. So you could bring 5 names of 5 of your friends, or you could call up these contractors and say, hey, what now? The minister just fired the contractor on that project there, right? And he's looking for a new contractor. So if I could put in a good word for you, how much again? What you could do for me? What you could do? He said, well, what you want? 5%? No problem. How much you want? Right? And this official could just put together the names of any 5 people that he talked to, all of whom are pliable and willing to give him a little kickback and drop it for the minister by 3 o'clock. And then the minister will sit down with his technocrats and say, we go with this one. Call them and tell them, come. They ain't look, no scope of works. Nobody ain't put in no bid. Let me just look at the track record of doing work. We're praising that. But if that same thing was done here, the same would be singing a different tune. Right? So I saw the president of Guyana, not to be outdone, decided, well, hey, let me jump in the fray too. Right? Because my minister getting all these praises, let me get some praises too. So he decided to go and visit some projects as well. And I saw International post it up. And here the caption. This is what you call accountability. Not here in this stinking P&M control cesspit where contractors, roads failing, and they're getting more jobs. That is what you call accountability. Yeah, that's accountability. And it's clowns like him who want to support and supporting that other party. Right? Clowns like him, but that is what he calls accountability. So if you ain't like the work, Prime Minister Dr. Rowley could just jump in his van or his thing and just go and fire people. And that making sense. That making sense to them. But this foolishness and this dote, I mean, come on. When we look around, there is no comparison. These people have to be crazy. The majority of schools built in this country was built by who? The majority of housing was built by whom? They came in 2010 to 2015, and on their way out in 2015, said they're giving out 100 houses a week. Who built those houses? Who built them? Not them. But giving out houses that the P&M built, and here then. Well, Manning bill it or he didn't give it out, so we will do it. And they're proud to say that, yeah. Manning bill it, but he did build a house and the PNM given it out, so we will distribute it. Taking credit for that. How many houses they built? It's only recently in the last few months you hear them talking about, oh, they built 6,000 houses and they built 7,000. No, they can't even agree on the amount of houses. One says 6,000, the next one say 8,000, the next one say 5,000. That's how you know they damn blasted lie. Right? Because if all they can't get, it could only be one figure. It can't be 6 and 8 and 5 and all kind of thing. They can't even agree on the figure, but depending on who talking. But 2015 general election, they built 106 schools, but no mention about how many houses you build. Now, I would think if you build 8,000 houses, that would give you a lot more pips than if you come to tell me you build 106 schools. No talk about house. Right? But we do know they spent $175 million to buy a piece of land, Eden Gardens, that was valued at $52 million by Lyndon Scott, private valuator. $175 million, down from the $200 million that the contractor wanted. Let us not forget that. That's what they did. Let us not forget trust lands that they paid $200 million for. Not one brick went up in trust lands until this administration came in. Every single house that is now on trust lands was built by this PNM administration, not them. So they made plenty people wealthy. The same Eden Gardens that they purchased for $175 million 1 year before was purchased for $5 million. $5 million was being offered. It was portioned out in lots and was being advertised according to Afro Raymond on 2 real estate companies' websites for $400,000 a lot. $400,000 per lot. But this government, that administration, decided to purchase all the lots for $664,000. So it advertised for $400,000. So you, the average citizen, could have get it for $400,000, but the government decided to buy it and paid $664,000 per lot. But Basan Barad, wants to come and tell you that they did more to develop this country. Really? Is that so? What did they build? They built the aquatic center. They built the National Cycling Velodrome. They borrow money from the Chinese for them 2 things. They built the Cuba Hospital. They borrow money from the Chinese for that. They built the Racket Center in Tacarigua, and that's the ideal name for it, the Racket Center. They borrow money from the Chinese for that. They built the licensing headquarters in Caroni there, way over budget, $230-something million they spent on that. What else they built? What else? They attempted to give us the Beatam wastewater treatment plant for over $1 billion, right? They gave Mamu how much percent of the cost? Mamu, they gave him, I think it was 75%. He gave us 45%, and then he hopped a plane when they lost and gone to Panama. Living life large in Panama for your taxpayers' money. But that is what they call development, right? Today, that is I don't even want to call it a white elephant. I don't even know what that is. They built some things done in Cuba there by the gas station, some spaceship-like looking things. Nobody have any clue what that is about, what's the purpose that was supposed to serve. But that money spent, that done, that dead. But he wants to come and tell you, yeah, they did more in 11 years than the PNM did in 51 or so, according to Basan Barrett. What did his ministry do? Just 70 or so guns, people in the squad. Paid on money, well, pay the money. Not one gun came to the country, not one. But money spent. But they did a lot to develop this country. Talking about they built 106 schools. But Anthony Garcia rubbished that in 2019 and showed us that of the 106 schools that they claimed they built, if they built 50-something, that was it. They want to take credit for the early childhood care centers that was started under Mr. Manning. The Manning administration started that project, but these bastards want to come and tell you that they were the one. Something very wrong with these people. Very, very wrong with these people. And look at what is taking place now. Ask them, of the 40-plus projects or the 40-plus programs that the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service has in place for young people in this country, ages 18 to 35. I want Mr. Barrett to tell me, where is the comparative between 2010 to 2015? What did they have that compares to those over 40 programs? And it seems every week a new program coming on stream. Every week. 179 young people at a day holding leases or licenses to occupy 2 acres of land so that they could start their agricultural pursuits. They got the $20,000 and it's just they start a home now, but they were on their way to becoming agro entrepreneurs. Where is the equivalent of that, Mr. Bharat? What did you all offer the youth? Live sport. $400 million live sport. To do what? Teach young people to read and write, maths and English. Pay a man $34 million to teach maths and English, and not one class was delivered. Right? But everybody else eat our food. $58 million for catering, and who made millions of dollars providing these portable toilets and providing tents, and who was receiving $90-something thousand a month to promote the live sport program and publish rubbish saying the program was so good. 400 million. You only ghost gangs in that and all. You just come and put down your name, present your ID card, and at the end of the month or the fortnight, as the case may be, you get your stipend, but no, you have to provide half of that to the person who link you. You ain't working now where you're smoking weed whole day on the block, and you getting free money at the end of the fortnight or the month. You ain't vex. You ain't work for that, and you had nothing to do for it. Other than to present your name, and come every morning and sign and bust out. $400 million, but he want to talk about development. Where is the comparative? There is none. Absolutely none. If you want to tell me the most number of ministers were fired between 2010 to 2015, as opposed to what obtained up under the 51 years of the PNM, yes, we could speak on that. We could definitely agree on that. Ain't no lie there. But when you come to talk about development, Bharat, please, Mrs. with that BS, please. Who was responsible for Unit Trust, right? Which is one of the most successful investment companies that we have in the country now. Who was responsible for that? They not only operated in Trinidad, but also regionally as well. Who was responsible for that? Who created First Citizens Bank? NIB and all of these things. Who created all of that? Ask these clowns. But would they be responsible for it? Look, other than the airport, what else Pandey built? What else Pandey built? Other than the airport. That scandal-rocked, scandal-laden airport. But you have a new airport building and terminal building in Tobago. You seen any, other than the PNM posting pictures, you see anybody else posting pictures? Even the TPP, you see them posting anything? They're getting a state-of-the-art airport in Tobago. No talk about that. You're not interested in talking about that. Highway from Valencia to Toco. First phase finish. No talk about that. That wasn't development. Who started the ferry service with the catamarans? Who started that? Who started the water taxi service that is still running today? UNC did that end? No, that wasn't the PNM. PNM wasn't responsible for that. All that wasn't part of development. Right? Yeah. Who was it that sold the panorama? That when Mr. Manning was in office, the company came to him and said, we would want to offer you, if memory serves me correct, $300,000 US. Mr. Manning said, thanks, but no thanks. And as soon as the PNM lost office in August of that year, same people come back, new administration. We want to purchase the panorama for $300,000 US. Sold to the highest bidder. It gone. Refurbished and today it operating in Greece, looking brand new and making money. Who sold the blimp for $50,000 US? Who did that? Keith Rowley did that, huh? Yeah. When Mr. Manning wanted to get the OPVs to develop coverage for not just Trinidad and Tobago, maritime coverage, but not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the region as well. Who was it that got rid of the OPVs? Mr. Manning did that? Dr. Rowley did that, huh? And yeah, I wasn't all here. But you're all responsible for so much development taking place in this country. The Arangwes interchange, who did that? The Grand Bazaar interchange, who did that? For years, those of us who living on the east-west corridor, particularly who living in the east and commuting to the west every day and back, would know the headache that we used to have to endure with that traffic, those traffic lights that used to be by Nestle. That was a bugbear. Traffic starting all the way up the road from Macoya, going straight down. And then when you cross that light and you figure you get a respite, you bounce up the traffic light by around where's next headache, pressure. So if you leave home 5 o'clock, stress for you. It was the Manning administration that had the foresight to get rid of those lights and put the Grand Bazaar interchange. Curep interchange, who built that? Diego Martin interchange, who built that? The walkover by Sealots, that when they were in office 2010 to 2015 and the accident took place that took the life of, I think, a mother and 2 of her children or something like that, the off-duty police officer who ran into them, he was driving on a Toyota Corolla. And the residents of Sealots asked for a walkover. And they bring all the technocrats and the engineers and say it cannot be done. We can't build a walkover there because we'll have to move this and move that and move this pole and move these wires. It can't be done. We will put a crossing guard, right? We will put a zebra crossing and a crossing guard. So when only want to cross the zebra, the crossing guard will just come out with the stop sign, stop traffic, right? On a main thoroughfare, highway, will walk out and stop traffic so that people could cross. This administration came in 2015 and that was a priority for them. Today, there's a walkover there. Well, whether or not the people using it is secondary. But the fact of the matter is this administration did what they said couldn't be done under Mr. Warner. They said it can't be done. This administration came in and showed them it could be done. The walkover by the waterfront, right? Elevator and all, air-conditioned elevator. Who put that there? So that persons with disabilities who would like to cross the road, right? You could wheel your chair, go into the elevator, you go upstairs, you wheel across, you go back into the other elevator, you go down, and then you go your way. What existed before? You had to wait for somebody when the light changed green and hope somebody will give you a little help to push your wheelchair across the road. Who did that? To provide modern facilities so that when the cruise ships come and the tourists want to cross the road, that they don't have to risk their lives to do so, right? That they could go into modern accommodations, some things that you probably don't even see in some of the places they come from, but you're seeing it in Trinidad and Tobago. We did that. We did that. Under them, Caranage the police station was a police post in a house on School Street. Today, they have their own building, police station, right? On the main road. On the main road. Who built that? Who did that? UNC did that, huh? Yeah. Diego Martin Sports Complex, who did that? UNC did that? The new administration building for the regional corporation, who did that? That they are now a landlord with FCB as a tenant. Who built that? Remove the traffic lights by West Small there. And all of that. Who did that? UNC did that. Right. You see all these things. And this is why, again, I said this administration needs to focus, because the opposition forces, not just the UNC, all of them will never talk about that. But let one piece of bad news happen, they're happy to promote that. When anything good, let me give you an example. Because I was also checking Mr. Kevin Ramnarayan's Facebook page to see if he posted this. And as to be expected, it's not there. Not surprised. Come now, man. Where do you, man? Let's see if I get this here. Just now. I'm going to get this. Let's see. All right. TNT Iron acquires former ArcelorMittal plant. It was posted yesterday. TNT Iron and Steel Company Limited has acquired the iron and steel plant in the Point Lisas Industrial Estate, Couva, Trinidad, after signing a purchase agreement with the liquidator of ArcelorMittal Point Lisas Limited, Christopher Kelshaw. In a release yesterday, TNT Iron said it will immediately begin planning the refurbishment of the plant, aiming to commence operations within the next 12 months. Chairman Monty Pemberton said, "This is an exciting time for Trinidad and Tobago as steel is fundamental to the circular economy. TNT Iron's vision to produce green steel on a phased commercially viable basis will lay the foundation for the accelerated development of the local green economy. Trinidad and Tobago has always punched above its weight in the global energy industry, and TNT Iron looks forward to working with all stakeholders in the development of the sustainable, profitable, circular green economy." Let me see if I get this here. So, The company is planning a phased refurbishment process, which would start with electric arc furnace steelmaking and then incorporating natural gas-based directed reduced iron technology. The company said that the Trinidad and Tobago economy would benefit from the plant in the long term. TNT Iron said this refurbishment and startup phase will create significant employment within the community, and when fully operational, the plant will create long-term employment. Gosh, what's this thing doing, my boy? So, right, long-term employment for skilled Trinbagonian workers. The restart of the plant will also create many more direct jobs, such as maintenance and construction services, port services, downstream manufacturing, demand for green hydrogen and renewable energy, etc. Founder and president of TNT Iron, Gus Hiller, said, "We believe there is great potential for the plant to return to the forefront of global steelmaking technology and performance. And we are confident we will be able to bring on stream and operate an efficient, cutting-edge steel mill, which we expect and hope will start production within 12 months. The restart of this plant will create long-term sustainable industry that generates secure employment and wealth generations to come. I'm excited to return to Trinidad and Tobago to safely execute on our strategic plan and position Trinidad and Tobago as a major global player in the green steel market." TNT Iron has signed a sales and purchase agreement to acquire the ArcelorMittal iron and steel plant. At the time, the company said the completion of the transaction was subject to government approval. Work will commence on the plant once all the government approvals have been received, which TNT Iron expects to happen within the next 12 months. ArcelorMittal closed down the steel plant in 2016. You see any of them talk about that? You see them talk about that? Any of them post that article on their Facebook page to say, well done, congratulations? You know what they're talking about when you read the comments? This government only selling out everything and they're selling out the country's assets. The idiocy in that. The idiocy in that. But anyway, I am not surprised. Good news like that, they're not about promoting. The same people who telling you under Rowley mash up Point Lisas, and Point Lisas is now a cemetery, a graveyard. All them plants are shut down and so on, but things happening to bring things back on stream. No talk about that. No promotion. So that was one of the good news that you would not hear other places. Separate and apart from the fact that it appears that the refinery is also on the verge of being sold, and we'll see what happens there. But again, no talk about that. It was something else. So Keith Scotland was appointed to be the minister in the Ministry of National Security. And again, the bacchanalist media in this country will only focus on, I don't know, Mr. Imbert was correct. Mr. Imbert was correct. So they're looking to stir up bacchanal between the substantive Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister. Because from what I understand, the Prime Minister, when he would have made the announcement in the post-cabinet briefing that Mr. Scotland would be appointed minister in the ministry, he indicated that the substantive minister was too distracted with respect to certain things, and therefore he needs that help. So now they're trying to create a narrative that basically this is Dr. Rowley's way of saying that he has lost confidence in the Minister of National Security. And that is the focus, not on what can Mr. Scotland bring to the table. All the time, Hines this, Hines that, Hines the other, and Hines the next. The Prime Minister has now brought in help to assist Mr. Hines, right? Because that is an enormous ministry. Contrary to popular belief, it is a huge ministry with a lot of work to be done, and therefore, to me, that is one of the ministries that should always have a minister and a minister in the ministry, because of the amount of work that needs to be done, and the amount of state agencies that fall under national security. You have the police, the army, fire, all of these different entities that fall under that, right? And it's a lot of work for one minister to do. But again, the bacchanalist media only looking to try and cause couture to ask the minister. I didn't get to listen to it, but based on what I read, they put out a caption stating that the minister strongly disagrees or something to that effect with the prime minister's characterization that he was too distracted or whatever. But when I read it, we will get back to that, right? We will get back to that. But needless to say, congratulations to Keith Scotland. Based on what he has said so far, we expect good things from him. But it's unfortunate that in the comments, when this was posted on Facebook, all people, the majority of the comments, I saw 141 at the time. All people could talk about is, well, right, the police and them going and get bike. We're going back to Colpot and Colpot in the police service. All they're talking about is bicycle, Colpot. Bicycle, Colpot. Short pants. Bicycle, Colpot, and short pants. You're not serious in this country. But not one of them who criticize him could offer one solution to deal with crime. Well, I saw one solution published in the newspaper last week. And I want to commend that mother. That's how you fight crime. That mother who turned her child in, her 16-year-old son, into the police station because she came home and found that he had clothing in his possession that she knows she didn't buy for him. And hearing that one of the neighbors' homes was burglarized and clothing belonging to the neighbor's child was stolen, she put two and two together, the mother, realizing what is what, carry him backside down to the police station. Now that would have been a tough decision for her to make or any parent to make because aside from the backlash and the criticism that she will probably get from friends and family members who will say, how you could do that? How you could carry the boy in the police station? You could have talked, you could have organized and arranged, put the clothes in a bag and drop it back off by the people and nothing. I'm sure there are people who tell her that she's wicked. All of this thing, but you see, that is how you fight crime. That is where crime fighting starts, in the household. Better she find a lawyer for him for petty larceny and burglary than she has to find a lawyer for him for murder. Right? And she set the example there that many other parents in this country need to set. And I applaud that mother. She deserves an award for that. Turn him in. Okay, you want to thief and embarrass me? You want police to come in my house and kick down my door? That ain't happening. So before the police had to come here to find you, let me carry you in the police station. Yes, she had to find money for lawyer. Yes, she'll have to find money for bail. And most likely that is a bailable offense. And if I were her, before I impose bail, I'll lay backside, sit down inside there for a little while and see what it is like. And then post bail. And to hell with who want to come and tell you you're a bad mother because you carry you report your child. Many of these criminals today, if their parents who know what they were doing and who still know what they're doing and upholding it, if you all were to do what this mother did, the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago wouldn't be anywhere close to where it is. This mother set an example, right? For others to follow. But we know that ain't going to happen. We know that not going to happen. But she set the example for the rest of them. Because if he want to frustrate you, no, don't let no police come and kick down your door and ransack your house. Save them the trouble. You know he guilty, carry him. Let him go down and let him learn a lesson. And maybe you will save him. That one act that she performed there will probably save him from getting a murder charge. But there are plenty of people who will, criticize her for that. You see, and I always make the point. All who want to blame the minister and the prime minister and the government and the commissioner of police for the state of crime in the country. We've heard it time and time again, crime fighting starts in the home. And if you as a parent are a disciplinarian, as my mother was, we wouldn't have the problem that we have now. But again, too many of you parents want to be a child friend. Some of you mothers who want to be in the same party and same fete with your daughter. You wearing clothes more skimpy than your daughter, or you go in competition. That is not your friend. That is not your friend. The poor examples that some of you are setting, smoking weed and sending your child to buy the weed, then you have no moral authority to tell the child they can't smoke weed when you're doing it. When it is that they ain't doing too well in school and you decide, well, okay, if they want to drop out, they will go on. The first thing is say, well, they will go and learn a trade. Yeah, he will go and learn a trade. But what efforts you're making for him to go and learn a trade? So you make that decision already, no passes for him. He will learn a trade and that's that. I read an article from about the current director of the executive director of the Unit Trust Corporation. And he told about how when he was a young man, teenager, how his life could have gone on a different road and a different course. Because a friend of his own came and gave him a bag and asked him to keep it for him. And when he opened the bag, there was a gun in the bag. And he made a decision then and there, I'm not doing that, and gave it back to him. Right? But his life could have taken a different course if he decided to be loyal to his friend and take the bag and hold it. But today he's the executive director of the Unit Trust Corporation, doing very well. He talked about how when he didn't pass for his first or second choice, the secondary school that he went to, and at one point in time he wasn't doing so great, and how he was able to turn his life around. I always say, parents need to understand that choices you make will affect the lives that some of your children will lead. When you choose to embrace poverty, understand the opportunities that you're depriving your children of. When you decide, well, I know I will make do with this, and you have no ambition, some of them have no ambition. But then again, it's a cycle, because you are a product of what your parents did, and then what their parents did. So you know no better. I'll give you all an example. My own personal circumstance, right, with a relative of mine who, young lady, 15 years old. My younger sister who passed away 2 years ago, right, took her in. Because my sister wasn't married, she didn't have kids, as the case may be. And she took her in. Because my sister was, she had a very good job, stuff. So she took a relative in. At that time, she had just started, or she had just written SEA. And that was during COVID time. So her first 2 years or so was online learning, right? Now, my sister would, of course, expose her to a certain lifestyle, because my sister was living in Victoria Keys and stuff and whatnot, and so it was a lifestyle a young lady wasn't accustomed to. And she was doing exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. I'm talking about online schooling. Huh? Every time her report come, the report card or whatever they call it, every term, top in the class. Almost full marks in every subject, doing very, very well. And then my sister died, and of course the young lady had to go back home with her mother, whose circumstance isn't all that great. This is something that my sister didn't want, and that's why she put stuff in place so that wouldn't happen. But unfortunately, the way things worked out, it happened. I wouldn't go into the details of how it happened, but needless to say, today, totally different picture, right? So the latest report card last term, you tell me 42 absences. Right? You missed school 42 days in the last term. Classes are seen as certain exam, absent, no report was submitted, project wasn't done, all of that. Went from an A student, I don't even know what you could call that. But again, family circumstance. And the mother will say, well, what want me to do? I can't do nothing if she don't want to, she's saying she wants to be a hairdresser, so all right. And you just leave it so, showing little to no interest. So what was once a very promising student now finds herself in the circumstance where she is. And I cannot understand 42 days absent from school. 42. And it's like neither here nor there with the mother. Because you have some parents who think, well, okay, well, if they don't go to school, I get to keep that money. The money that they would have paid for passage and whatnot and stuff that I get them to buy lunch, I will keep that. But no thought for what's going to happen in the future. Right? No thought. And the cycle continues. Because why? The mother dropped out of school because she got pregnant while she was in Form 5. So when you're supposed to be going to school, right, we know the story there. She wasn't going to school. Right? Wasn't going to school, come, get pregnant, had the child. And then telling yourself, well, I could go back to school. Attempted to, and it really didn't work out. It was a struggle having a young baby to take care of and then not having that support to go back to school. So eventually, of course, she dropped out and life happened. So if I get a little N here and a little N there, I make do with that. And then I got a CPEP job. So I work in CPEP and whatnot. And okay, I make do with that. So I have a food card and again CPEP. So let me see how I can mold my life around that and make the best of it. But you have, at the time, you had 2 teenagers going to school. The other one, again, during COVID, parents couldn't afford to buy a device for him to do schooling online. He was doing very well before. He fell by the wayside, drop out of school. He was fortunate to get a job in a factory, and he's diligent and so on, doing things. But still has no passes, has no certificates to show. But some people are resilient like that, and now your daughter, who showed much promise, now finds herself in the same position. So the cycle of poverty continues. So what is she going to do now? And this is the point that I'm making. It starts with the parents. I know it have some parents out there who are struggling and who are trying their best. I'm not disputing that. Say it. But there are some of them. Let's see what's the time there. Let me just touch on this quickly. Unlawful move, right? State concedes businessman was taken against his will from Barbados. And they're talking about Brent Thomas. That Brent Thomas, whose name we keep hearing about, that somehow the UNC has taken great interest in Mr. Thomas. State concedes firearm dealer Brent Thomas arrest unlawful. So after Barbados, the Barbados government did it. The state, Trinidad and Tobago, has now conceded, right? The state has conceded that police officers acted illegally in their controversial arrest of firearm dealer Brent Thomas in Barbados and his subsequent return to this country in October 2022. The admission was made by lawyers for the Office of the Attorney General as they presented submissions in an appeal over decision by High Court Judge Ravindra Rampersad to uphold Thomas's lawsuit over his forced deportation and police probe into him and his company, Specialist Shooters Training Center Limited. Presenting submissions at the Waterfront Judicial Center in Port of Spain yesterday, King's Counsel Peter Knox claimed that the officers' unlawful actions were based on a legitimate belief that Thomas was seeking to flee the country while under investigation. They acted wrongly, but they did not act maliciously, Knox said. While he accepted that Justice Rampersad was entitled to make the findings he did in relation to Thomas's arrest and extradition and order compensation, he suggested that they should have been made against the TNT Police Service and not the state. Knox claimed that the judge overstepped in staying the criminal charges against Thomas and making adverse findings in relation to the probe that led to the charges. And Knox claimed that there was evidence that Thomas was found in possession of 3 prohibited automatic rifles and 6 non-lethal grenades, which led him to be charged. And he claimed that 2 of the rifles were listed on Thomas's firearm users' licenses, but 1 was not. We are not saying this is conclusive of anything, but there is something to look at. He suggested that Justice Rampersad should have been more cautious to avoid passing, or rather trespassing on the power of the DPP in relation to criminal prosecutions. And it is not for a constitutional court to interfere in matters like this. You do not have the constitutional right not to be prosecuted. Knox also took issue with Justice Rampersad's findings in relation to a series of search warrants used to raid Thomas's Maraval home and his business. And he suggested that Thomas's lawyer should have filed the case against the Justice of the Peace that granted the warrants. In his submission, Senior Counsel Ian Benjamin, who led the legal team for the DPP's office, claimed that the judge misconstrued the Firearms Act when he questioned how Thomas could be charged for possession of the weapons that he was granted permission to import by the Commissioner of Police. I wonder which commissioner that was. Benjamin pointed out that under the legislation, the police commissioner did not have the power to grant permission to citizens for the importation and possession of prohibited weapons, which can only be lawfully held by police officers, members of the TNT Defense Force, certain staff of the Forensic Science Center, and prison and customs officers. He suggested that Thomas had been wrongfully granted permission by successive commissioners in the past, and he, the judge, did not construe the provisions at all. There was no foundation or reasoning, Benjamin said. Benjamin stated that there was a strong public interest in allowing the charges against Thomas to proceed. I do not have to say anything about the havoc caused by guns and ammunition in TNT. And so that's Mr. Brent Thomas said that the UNC, for some reason, keep defending Mr. Thomas as if he is this innocent, law-abiding citizen that the government just targeted. They couldn't care too hell about Brent Thomas, right? This is all about politics. But let me just remind them. Let me get this here. because this was an article that was published that for me didn't receive the attention that it should have received. Ex-BIR clerk accused of falsifying tax certificates, right? It's interesting that when I look at the Facebook pages of Gary Griffith in particular. Let me see if I get it. Where is it? Where is it? Because he wrote out a whole missive on that. Let me just get it here. So let me get it here. Let me get it. Where is it? Where is it? So let me see if I get it here. Was it Philip Alexander? Just now, give me 1 sec, folks. Let me just get it here. Yeah, I think it was him. But Gary Griffith has been prosecuting that case too. Philip Alexander. The justice of the peace who signed the warrants should lose his license. The police officers involved must all be fired and stripped of their pensions. The public official, whether it's the AG or higher, should be fired and prosecuted for misbehavior in public office. The collective punishment should be that severe so as to caution any future office holders contemplating such wild abuse of office. Yes, Mr. Thomas should receive an obscene and outlandish award as compensation, but the taxpayers alone must not continue to take the hit for such lax exercise of police and court authority. But you know, if it is in fact Mr. Thomas was seeking to abscond and had gotten away, disappeared in the wind, they would have been singing a different story. So the police had intelligence and they know the man was leaving the country and why they let him leave the country. Okay. Well, let me just read this article before I open the line. A former temporary clerk at the Board of Inland Revenue has been granted $100,000 bail after appearing in court on 6 criminal charges related to the alleged production of falsified statements or certificates. David Williams was granted bail when he appeared in the Port of Spain Magistrates Court on Monday to answer 3 misbehavior in public office charges and 3 for allegedly breaching the Computer Misuse Act and the Income Tax Act. Williams was not called upon to plead to the misbehavior in public office charges, but was allowed to plead not guilty to the other 3 summary offenses. Board of Inland Revenue legal consultant Evans Welsh did not object to bail for Williams. According to the charges, Williams is accused of using a colleague's computer to produce fraudulent value-added tax clearance certificates and income tax clearance certificates to people unknown in exchange for $10,000 in June last year. In September last year, the BIR published notices indicating that the certificates allegedly issued by Williams were not authorized. Williams was arrested by a warrant after an investigation conducted by criminal tax investigator Raul Suku. The certificates in question were all in the name of Specialist Shooters Training Center Limited. The company and its owner, Brent Thomas, recently shot to fame after they sued a firearm audit conducted by the police, after they sued over a firearm audit conducted by the TNT Police Service and his arrest in Barbados and subsequent return to Trinidad on a regional security systems aircraft. Goes on to say in the recent judgment, High Court Judge Ravinder Rampersad ruled that the manner of Thomas's detention showed a clear attempt to bypass lawful procedure of requesting his extradition. Addressing the search warrants used on the business, Justice Rampersad took issue with the votes and so on. Right. So here it is that this BIR employee is accused of allegedly falsifying VAT certificates and income tax certificates for the very same Mr. Brent Thomas and his business. The same Brent Thomas that the UNC is stoutly defending, the same Brent Thomas that Mr. Gary Griffith is batting for, the same Brent Thomas that Philip Edward Alexander seems to be batting for as well. But none of them addressing this issue. And while they talk, Philip Alexander is talking about Mr. Thomas getting an obscene amount of money from the state, and he should, according to Philip Alexander. Nobody talking about how much money Mr. Thomas and his company owes the state, and by extension, you, the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. Because falsifying tax statement, if you're willing to pay $10,000 tells me that the amount of money you owe in taxes had to be more than 10. Because if you're only owing 10,000, then you would pay that. But the fact that you're willing to pay that, allegedly, to get false VAT statements, certificates, and income tax clearance certificates, which is things that you need to be able to do certain types of business, especially if you're doing business with the state. These are requirements. You need to present these things in order for you to be able to get contracts and so on. And if it is that Mr. Thomas was providing weapons and ammunition to the police or whoever it is, certain state entities, then it means these things had to be in order for you to bid and whatnot, as the case may be. So here it is, the allegation, if this is true, is that the state entities would have been doing business with a criminal, purchasing items from a criminal, because it's a crime. But I am not seeing anywhere where Mr. Thomas was charged for this crime, but the BIR employee was charged. And therefore, if it is that he was falsifying tax certificates, as the article claimed, for this individual and his company, and he lost his work and he was charged for it, 6 charges arising out of that, why hasn't Mr. Thomas been charged? So this guy just crazy. He just decided, let me do this for this company, that never mind the fact that the company's business is above board, that all of their taxes are paid up, whether it be VAT or income tax, everything is paid and in order. But they don't talk about that. They give you the impression, oh, this is this innocent man, and he was a victim of state abuse and all of that. How much money he owe in the state in income tax? When it is that if he is selling whatever to certain state agencies and he's receiving money from the state, you're required to pay taxes on that. The fact that if this is true, that this guy had to generate these false statements and false certificates indicates you owe the state money. But these idiots who telling you put us in office as prime minister and we want to be in government, willing to turn a blind eye to that. Yes, pay he obscene amounts of money, but do not demand for him to pay the state what is owed to them. This is why these guys, I will never take these clowns seriously. Never take them seriously. Because when you could come and advocate and put out a post like that talking nonsense about who should be fired and who this one should be fired and that one should be fired, but will not speak to the fact that this man, if he hasn't been charged for that crime, he should be, because that is conspiracy. Because he would have had to approach the individual to get these tax certificates. He would have had to make the offer. All of that is conspiracy. Why isn't he facing a conspiracy charge? They're not going to talk about that, No, but fire the police and fire the AG and charge this one and charge that one. And meanwhile, this individual, aside from whatever else the police had on him, has another case to answer, and no talk about that. But the people who are telling you they are the alternative to the PNM, not talking about it, but defending him to the hilt, and want to make out a case as if the government's so wicked and don't care about people's democratic rights and all of that. Meanwhile, this man should be facing an additional charge. But no talk about that. But put them back in office, right? Because they're willing to turn a blind eye to that. 7701763. Play fast and loose with all your vote next day. Play fast and loose. And see what the outcome will be. There's a bunch of criminals telling you put them in office. The alternative to the PNM, as is always said, is chaos and confusion. If anybody doubts that, well. Yes, no, One sec, the Jenny. Let me just get this here. Jenny there?
Hello.
Yeah, Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Greetings.
Good afternoon to all the callers and those who are listening and tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. I see you are 300 and about 55 on YouTube. Yeah, which is great. So people continue to share and tell people about this so that they'll get the information. And I want to say special, happy and strong to Mr. Neville Chance, who celebrated his strong yesterday. And of course, we send him all our love and everything that he wants for himself, he right there with him. because we had to jam because we know the assignment and he had to be right there with me to complete this assignment. I see the gentleman Ishmael, Inshan Ishmael. He has found his voice, and I'm happy that probably he's feeling much better. So we are waiting to see the hate and the vile and the racism being spewed all over again. It is so ironic that when you're in a position where you may not be feeling well, that you're very circumspect, that you're quiet and within yourself. And from the time you get back that health again, you're going right back to your old ways. So we are waiting to see that. But he spoke about Guyana's situation where a minister would have gone on a job site and would have tell a contractor or something, basically fire and get some other contractors. I want him to know, based on what Ansel Roger said, that those things were happening under the UNC in 2010-15. Because Mr. Roger said that they were giving contracts to friends and family. So those are the things they are accustomed with, apparently, under the UNC. So probably that is why they like to flock back to the UNC at the end of the day, because it's anything goes. This situation with Mr. Vassan Bharat, I have lost whatever respect I had for him. It seemed like the only men it had in the UNC is men like Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, who would have walked away with the balls intact, and Winston Gypsy Peters and Dr. Deva Maharaj. It seemed that by and large, the rest of them seemed to have given up their manhood. You know what I see Vassan Bharat would have done? And he confirmed to me what Dr. Vishnu Vishram would have said when he said that the failure of the Indians in politics is that when they're in politics, it's not about good legislation, it's not about helping the people, it's about cocktail party, kickbacks and contracts, nepotism, favoritism, cronyism, nothing about good legislation. And what I see Vassan Bharat would have done, I am more convinced that Dr. Vishnu Vishram is onto something. Because that Vassan Bharat is the one who would have agreed and confirmed with Dr. Devan Maharaj that there's prostitution and human trafficking in the UNC. He confirmed what Dr. Devan Maharaj would have said. And he would have said a lot of things that will come up as services in the UNC. Tell the Women's League or the Women's Group in the UNC had to come out and chastise him for the things he said. And today, this man has gone back to a party where he has said there's prostitution and human trafficking.
Yes.
Human trafficking is modern day slavery. It's where women and girls and even boys are held in a position where forced abortion, abuse, rapes, mutilations, kidnappings. He said in the UNC has that because he agreed with Dr. Deva Maharaj. And he has gone back there today. He said he was propositioned by prostitutes in the UNC, by a member of the UNC. And he's back there today. So I have to ask myself, Vassan Bharat, is it that you're going back to be propositioned? And this time will you be taken up on the offer? Is it that you are in agreement with human trafficking, where women and children are abused and kidnapped all over the world, and you are agreeing to that today? Is it that you're back there because you could get something? You want something, and you don't want it to get the right way. You want to get under corruption, because I didn't say UNC corrupt. Makandal Daga said UNC corrupt, they was thief. Roger said they corrupt. Abdullah said they corrupt. Jack Warner said the legacy of the UNC will leave in this country is that every minister was corrupt. They will leave a history of corruption. And Vassan Bharat dies when you're going back. Shame on you. No respect for you. You just become just another one of them, a tool to be used in the UNC. Cannot be not to be more man than all you. Because all the thing, all they say about she, all they does vomit on the woman, and all they does go right back with that same woman. Well, whatever she have, all they better keep it. And I'm seeing, when I look at what's happening in America now, and you look at the behavior of the Republicans, it's the same behavior of the UNC and the UNC supporters. No matter what facts you give them coming with something alternative and trying to tell that two things can exist at the same time. They come in with the racism and the racist behavior. Same thing, they have taken a page out of Trump's playbook, using it even down to the trickle-down economic policy. It seems I understand that Kamala Persad-Bissessar has that in her manifesto. It's the same thing Donald Trump has in the policy for 2025, this trickle-down economic policy, where it is they're going to lower the taxes on the rich and the corporations in hope that that will encourage them to help the poor. And I want to tell people as I live again, this simple thing. Dr. Rowley, when he came into office, the banks were paying 25% in taxes. He raised it to 35%. Is that a man who want the rich to get richer and the poor must stay poor? They have brought so much investment into this country that will have downstream benefits for the poor man. All those contracts that they get in the gas contracts and the license, who you think will have to do the work? It will be the men in the boardroom. Is the ordinary man, after they pass the technical staff and the professional staff, the layman laborer, the tradesman, all that will filter down. What about when the work starts? It have the people around will come out to sell the food, sell the drinks, sell the water. All that is a part of the scheme of things. That's not just for rich people. Everybody will benefit from that in one way or the next. So is that a man who wants to make the rich richer and the poor must stay poor? But again, because the ideology is the same thing, in my opinion, to that of Donald Trump. That's why right now, American Republicans don't know what to do with Kamala Harris. Because you know why? She has reached the man on the ground. She has hold on to them with her team freedom. And that Donald Trump want to take away the freedom. Want to take away the freedom from women to have a choice to choose. And you see that that is resonated. It's the same way in Trinidad and Tobago. We too have to let people know the freedoms that will be taken away. Anytime they let Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Vass and Barrett and them get back into office in this country. You know what freedoms they will take away from me? The freedoms to enjoy the wealth of this country. The freedom to work. The freedom to advance in the society. And African people will remain down to the bottom of the round. That they say we don't have nothing and we don't want nothing. That is where they want us to stay. That is what is at stake. Because our policy, the PNM policy has always been everybody, creed and race, build this nation, work together, have love for each other. But under the UNC, African people will be down to the bottom and they will come back in and finish what they started. Kamala Persad-Bissessar take on corporal punishment in school. All children must get education, whether you pass or not, from 5th standard. You're going in a school just so, no assessment, nothing. Those are the things that started the decline of what we see in our society now because of the policy of the UNC under Pandey and then under Kamala Persad-Bissessar. The policy is to make African people poor, keep them stupid, keep them in a state of self-hate while they walk away with the largest of this country. So freedom is at stake, freedom for all is at stake, and we know the agenda come 2025. And we know the assignment. The assignment is to vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and his ministers and make sure they get a majority vote so that nothing can go to court. And when they go to the parliament to pass the laws, they don't have to wait on no special majority. They can do the work of the people. And as for Minister Keith Scotland, SC, he's well poised to do the job. He's a criminal lawyer. All the areas that the Prime Minister gave him to focus on is areas that deal with criminal law, criminal behavior, and the police, they deal with criminals, they deal with the laws. So that's the best place for him to be. And they keep saying, I just call the naysayers, and I call them now, I call them the members of the association of the naysayers. Because all of them jumping out of the criminologists, they never have a solution, but all they show is the negative and only problems. But ask them for solutions. They don't have none. And we don't have, it's not one solution will solve crime. It has to have several solutions because you deal with a dynamic of people come from different spheres in life. So one solution alone will not solve crime. We have to have several solutions treating with the clientele who involved in crime or to stop them from crime. Thank you, Dominic. Have a blessed week ahead and all those who are tuning in on lockdown.
Jen,
yes.
You forgot to congratulate your MP.
Oh, yes. I want to congratulate my member of parliament, Minister of Energy and Energy, what's that called? Energy.
Yeah, I think it's Energy Industries. Yeah.
Right. Minister Stuart Young SC on getting the opportunity to act as the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, while the Prime Minister is out of the country in Grenada on the CARICOM conference or summit, I think it is. Congratulations, Minister Stuart Young. Hard work. That's what it takes. Hard work, dedication, commitment, credibility, loyalty, and patriotism to Trinidad and Tobago. That is what it takes. And you have all of those things too.
Thank you, Jen. I also, yes, so I would have extended my congratulations as well. But a point that Jenny made with respect to the human trafficking issue, and Basan Bharat being one of the individuals who corroborated what Devant Marad said with respect to a certain sitting member of parliament on the opposition bench who is now the subject of police investigation for human trafficking, right? He is prepared to go and sit down in a cabinet with that same individual after he tell you, right? Understand? Let me get this here. Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Mr. Yates, go ahead.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right. I just two quick points. I would like to ask Bharat a question. Since you last challenged the Cesar for leadership of the party, what has changed in the party and with the Cesar between then and now? What has changed that would have led you to return to the people whom you attacked as being the biggest endorsers of corruption in this country? What has changed really? And as I told somebody this morning, their main purpose for wanting to get back into government is twofold. One, it is to go back and do what they do best, which is to thief, and it is to scuttle all the charges that some of their MPs are faced with right now, like the one who is involved in the EMBD matter in the High Court, and the other one who is on $1 million bail. But in order to do that, they will have to create a facilitation at the level of the judicial system, meaning what they tried a few years ago, that is to say, getting rid of Ivor Archie, will be rehashed and it will be brought back into public there. Once they get into power, they will set up a tribunal to have him removed and have a UNC-friendly Chief Justice in power. Read my lips. A UNC-friendly Chief Justice. You see? It's very simple to understand. And they will do with Archie what they did with Michael de Lavastide in 1999. They tried to set up a tribunal. In fact, they did in fact set up a tribunal to try him, to remove him, because they couldn't bend him. You see, those who they cannot negotiate, they seek to destroy. They did it with the Lavastide. And as a matter of fact, the very first person to go before that tribunal to get rid of Michael de Lavastide is somebody who is a female High Court judge who boxed the Chief Justice in every single thing that he tries to do. Read my lips again. Those of us who follow the news very closely in Trinidad will know exactly what I'm talking about. But agenda number one is to remove Ivor Archie as Chief Justice. Yeah? Next step, if Gaspar is still there by next year, they will look to remove him. And that is the plan. And having done that now, when Christine Kangaloo's term is up, they will remove her and bring back Israel can. What they
Correct.
tried to do last year without success. And that would facilitate every wrong thing that they want to do and what they ever wanted to do and what they will continue to do once they get into power. I know a lot of people want to get into your program, so that is all I have to say for this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well said indeed. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Dom. How are you, darling?
Hi, I'm good.
Hypocrisy of those things in your things, right? Janjal, the man with the Peterson. I think he had fraud charges. But you're backing up Brent Thomas, right? You cannot condemn sin when you're the author of sin. Every evening across the world, you will see that. I mean, every evil. Is serious? How can Vagrant Barrett go back to his vomit? Did your money finish? You're hungry? You're poor? You're destitute? The holder is worse than the thief. If it's wrong Monday morning for me, Dom, it's wrong for you Monday afternoon. I must judge myself to my standards. They don't have no standards. It amazes me how UNC wholesale Beelzebub, few children don't understand A from B. You accuse government of all manner of evil. But when evil is in your face, begin out your eye, and chop off your nose, and take off your ear, you don't hear, you don't see, and you don't smell. How Griffith and P and all of them hope to be in power when you have no morals of your own. I must bring to my party, Dom, and to my nation what I am. You cannot give what you don't have. If you have no womb, you can get pregnant. Right? Ken dolls don't have sex. I am to the point of being fooled. I don't like it is. They have no balls. They are the only political knockoff Ken dolls. And if anybody what you want to see, they're crazy. They have raped this nation's purse. Look at the money. Keep pissing Bira, spent on her sister. What have I told you? How much leave she had? Was she a PS? Was she a minister? The flight up and down like a bat out of hell. Look at the money spent on helicopter gas. That's wrong, you know, it's Kamla. They are confiscating on thick skin and non-wood skin. They get a passport of a nation. And Dr. Day, today, I choose to bless Canadian people. I choose today to bless Canadian people. Lord, I bless you with the fruit of your hands and the work of your spirit and the thought of your mind be pure. May come into fruition, not tenfold, but a trillionfold. I bless Jenny and Mr. Yates and Brian and Eric. I bless Prime Minister Rowley, Stuart Young, Keith Scotland. I bless every member of the NM family, from captain to cook. Great will be our portion, and the gates of hell will not prevail. People, share the lies. I share. The things I say for purpose in 2025, go out and vote. And let's like Kamala, and we're going to read up Eric Williams. Don't you want to want to get Barbara? And moving on, Sam, we're going to go to the graves with Patrick Manning, Eric Williams, George Chambers, Franklin Khan, and Rondon. Every person who dies, we're going to raise them up. If you have a good day, be blessed by it.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello? All right, so you guys need to listen on the phone and not on the
Hey, Dominic?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good day.
Greetings.
Yeah, I wasn't here in October, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Dominic?
Yes, sir.
You know, they must take it Trinidadians for fools. A bunch of quacks want to come back to say they could run Trinidad and Tobago. And they nearly run our country down in the ground and mash up financially, people financial stability, and them talking about give them another chance, a collision. Look what's happening. Are you read out with Bharat and Gigi and Gigi and UNC and all kind of things they having problems with? Could you imagine if them get back in power, what will happen to our country internally with government issues? And we've seen what's happening now. And if them ever get the opportunity, the same thing they will replay. This one will say this and this one say that. But Dominic, I don't know. Them can't get my votes. And I only hope people wise to keep traders stable. The other progressive government, who is the PNM government, who is progressing a lot on investment and different investment for the future, for the generation, like the gas of oil deal with Venezuela, with Shell, BP, right? Trying to get a refinery for somebody to handle because it was draining our pockets and really put us in a bad financial debt, right? And right, these are major issues, right, Dominic?
Yep.
But one issue that is bothering me real bad, and I see it come back up in the Express today with Vincent Nelson. And they're talking about how much money this government pay in legal fee, but they're talking how much legal fee under the UNC they pay to Nelson. And the PNM had to come in out what the finished pay.
Correct.
Right? That's why the legal fee is so high. Right? And this guy, I cannot believe this guy signed a document for a plea bargaining. Right? Get charged for a fee to pay a fine of how much magistrate Judge Malcolm Holding charge him. And he paid that, Dominic. And we can't get this guy yet because he signed an agreement to give certain information, right? To avoid going to jail. Right? You get that agreement and know you want to come back and take we money, the citizen money, right? To get paid. I cannot understand that one. And the judiciary had to talk about this thing. This plea bargain this man gets to save himself from jail. Saying he has prostate cancer. And he gets on a plane and gets out of here and he's talking about want to sue we for our money. I cannot, and we want to know who's the man signed that affidavit. He go in front and swear that what he have the information is truth, and we want to get that from our Dominic. Because if he falsify that document, the man who signed the affidavit should also be charged too. Because that is bothering me real bad to hear what I read it about how much money PNM government and they're talking about UNC legal bills that they leave on the PNM to pay, and that is all money, that is taxpayer money that's going on the drain like that. But hey, we make a mistake and put the UNC there again, you know. I tell you, because if people make that mistake, the real notice is Trinidad and Tobago, you know. To pull back them because we see this with our eyes, what they have done to us and what Dr. Rowley and the PNM is trying to do. And the government to go with is the PNM government, right? Let me get somebody the opportunity, right?
Thank you, sir. Yes, I will speak on that article on Tuesday. It makes a very interesting reading. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Dominic. How are you?
Hi, good man.
One good contribution from the quarters. And very good. Happy birthday to Mr. Thomas, wherever he is. Hope he enjoyed it.
Mr. Chance.
Mr. Chance, yes. Mr. Chance, yes. You know? Dominic, do you expect anything better from Mr. Bassan Barrett?
Nope.
He doing the same thing as Jack Warner. We're not feeling vomit. So it wasn't reason I brought to me. I just wanted to see how he feels when he meets face to face with the accuser within that party who is involved in human trafficking. Because he told a story that he was offered comfort to men. So I am waiting for basically to see what's going on now. Maybe this one in Canada probably have a change of heart too. I don't know.
Who is that?
One who left this country and go and migrate to Canada now.
Devon Morant?
Devon? Yeah.
Yeah, Devon is back in Trinidad.
Oh, he's back?
Yeah, he's now an adjunct professor at UTT.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So look at that. Don't be surprised, huh? You might give him the citizenship in Saramata,
I would not be surprised. Correct. But only in the UNC, eh? Only in the UNC.
Yeah, only in the UNC, indeed.
Yeah.
You know, when I look at the politics in the United States, I can't help but see similarities with what the Republican Party and the UNC have in common now. It is so blatant that it's not even funny now. With one set of misinformation now they want to blast the lady who's on the president perspective for the Democrats. Now they're trying to dig up every little nook and cranny of a past. Particularly calling her some kind of border Caesar, how she handled the border poorly. What business does Kamala Harris have done in the borders? I can't understand that with donkey logic. And then it has some black people in that, and that's still like this is America, blasting up and saying that they're not voting for she. Because some other gentleman that she did when she was a prosecutor or something, I don't know, don't make a real balance out there. You know? Real balance out there. But if Mr. keeps happening, you know, I remember back in the day, the same people who questioned Mr. Keith Sutton, back in the years, but you remember when Keith Sutton used to be from radio, TV, having his own special program of calling him with any legal matters that he had? You remember those programs?
Yep.
So why you think that? No, I noticed many people from Venezuela to join the PNM. Certain people showing their anti-PNM thinking. I will give you a remember memory?
Yes.
You had a program called Talking with Youth Channel. You had a program in that time talking about youth with any social issues. I know when she became into in general, you know, the amount of cutting that she get. I don't know. Because when this is very young. Remember those told us they wanted her to be the candidate for the big Martin Central? They was talked about that. And I don't know what happened to transpire, but I don't know, maybe probably afraid that she will get victimized and then she ended up in the board with Malcolm Jones and you know, she's trying to mash it up. Just try to mash up. So I know that anytime people who are prominent decide to join the PNL, they get victimized real bad. Like this gentleman who was the candidate for Sawa Barta at JW. Right, and let's start an example. So nothing new. But you notice that on Kids Scotland, the dengue cases, but they're not talking about all the other interesting cases like going on with MTN, the managing director who is being charged with negligence. You know, you're not talking about that?
Which managing director is this?
No. With the situation with the Paria drawing.
With the what?
What's up with the story? With the Paria drawing, with the comment. Why are you not talking about that? Who has been charged?
No, they ain't gonna talk about it.
You're not talking about that?
No.
And the background I'm going into the right now, with the so-called minister, with the secretary in charge of works and transport. You're not talking about that either?
Nah. They rather talk about the outfit, the kit that the Trinidad and Tobago athletes wearing in France. That's more important.
Okay. And of course, I'll follow up with the story with the ground report. What's going on with the ground report?
I have no idea.
But they want to focus on things. Right? Or on breadfruit man, and they want to call kids call all the kind of breadfruit man, cool pot man, short pots man, bicycle man. What are the reasons? Do you want to go around?
You too, sir. Brian.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Pleasant good afternoon to you, sir.
Greetings.
Good afternoon to your listeners and callers. First of all, Dominic, I'd like to congratulate the Honorable Minister Stuart Young, SC, on him being given the opportunity to act as Prime Minister in the absence of the Right Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Now, some will tell me, don't put too much at play, but for me, it says a lot.
It does.
You know, because this is a young, budding gentleman who I think has earned his senior counsel. I think he has performed human service for us, people of Trinidad and Tobago, and the evidence is there for all of us who who have eyes to see will see. Right? So I have no problem at all in him being given this appointment. And I hope there are many, many more to come. Because it shows continuity. Right? And secondly, I'd also like to congratulate MP Keith Scotland, Senior Counsel as well, for his appointment in the Ministry of National Security. People don't understand how large that ministry is. And I think his experience as a criminal attorney, knowing of him on many occasions making front page stories on many of the cases he would have been successful in years and years and years ago, that he's aptly suited for this position. Yes?
Yeah.
So congratulations to him. And also happy belated birthday to the great professor, our teacher, our friend, Mr. Neville Chance. And I hope he lives to see many, 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 many more because his contributions are noteworthy. Dominic, as a young fellow growing up in my parents' house, you know, sometimes your mom give you a thing to drink and to take it and you don't like it, you know, you just leave it there.
Yes.
I never liked porridge.
That makes two of us.
That's good for you. Thank me and so on. Father used to say. But I never liked porridge. So I used to leave it there. Whenever mommy cook it, mommy make it, I used to leave it right there. See, not me. I used to give it to my siblings. I say, oh, go ahead now. What do you want that? Oh, go ahead. I don't want that. But I want to ask you something. You know what's similar to porridge? I feel in my view, I feel porridge and vomit by that look almost the same way. Because the amount of people drinking this quote unquote porridge or this vomit like porridge. I mean, it had to be porridge. It had to be tasting good. It had to be. Because I can't understand. I mean, if I didn't hear the words come out of Vasan Bharat's mouth on Pastor Google show, I would have said, nah, man. So when I see this man on my television screen and saying things that he had to say, and reading the things he had to say, I said, this man, either according to one of your callers, our good friend, he must be really stunting, he has no money, or he too loves porridge and taking his vomit for porridge. Because I can't understand, after all that he said, all that he admitted to, could come today and say because he was approached by the opposition leader, he could make the kind of statement that he has made. But it is good for us, we who understand and know better, and people who are going to vote in a year's time or a little more than a year's time must understand that these people don't care about you. They care about themselves. So all who was talking before, they could compare and you can contrast. I remember when Jack Warner was talking, being interviewed by Rennie Bishop, all what he said. I remember Comrade Roger, when he gave the podcast on the television, all what he said for nearly an hour about the UNC opposition leader. Now I had to listen to Vasan Bharat after what he said on that show to come back today to say what he said today. Vomit had to be tasting like porridge. Had to be. Because these fellas really giving up the strokum to this woman. She must have something that she promising people to get into office. Because she has to be desperate to go back and, according to him, ask him to mend fences and come back into the party, and he just jump and make those statements to the media. You understand? And we have to be careful of these people because they are all singing from the same hymn book like Donald Trump. And I am of the full view. I was a bit concerned about what was going on in the United States, but no, I don't have any concern. Whatever happens today in Venezuela, once Vice President Harris wins, and I believe she will win because of what I have been listening and hearing about those Zoom conferences which are continuing today and tomorrow, and the money that she is garnering, I think she has a more than excellent chance of beating Donald Trump. And once she wins, because she knows Dr. Rowley personally, because she would have worked alongside him, you understand, with respect to getting our OFAC licenses and many other things. You understand? So I have no problem with that. And I think we'll still be in a good place as far as those licenses and our arrangements are concerned with Venezuela and Shell and BP. But I listened to Kevin Ryan, and these people, I mean, oh my God, they have nothing to offer this country. And the best thing that ever happened to this country as far as our gas is concerned, which will benefit our downstream industries and get our trains back up and running down in Point Fortin. And we'll be able to sell our LPG, and NGC will continue to make money. These people have absolutely nothing good to say about that. That has Reuters has spoken about it. And has been on AP News. And has been all over the world. Those decisions that were made and those licenses that were obtained. It's just for the gas to come now. And it's going to come shortly. But people have to understand, we cannot afford to let up and not vote and understand what this means for people. As Jenny said, not the big boys in the country, the young people in this country who will benefit. You understand? And it is extremely important that people understand that and do not allow these thieves to get back into office, to steal that set of wealth that will come to Trinidad and Tobago before 2030, because it's going to be a lot of money for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. It is so important. If people could only understand how important it is. That is 1 trillion scoops of gas from that cocaine field.
Mm-hmm.
And that 20-year license, that agreement that was reached just recently with Venezuela agreeing. People have to understand how important that is. People have to understand when the refinery, if you don't have deep pockets, you cannot run the refinery. Patriotic Energies and the oil field workers trade union have no money to run that refinery. Where are they going to get the oil from? It's $55 million TT a day to run that refinery after the repairs are completed, and that alone is going to cost billions of dollars. People have to understand what is going on here. And when you start to study what Roger said that he went to go to court, Roger has no money. What Roger want to stop? You want to stop the executive government from doing what is good for Trinidad and Tobago? You're talking about the fence-like communities suffering. And you want to stop it? What has David Abdullah said about this? Anything? Google still waiting on David Abdullah to call him and explain exactly what he thinks about Roger swearing allegiance to the UNC and not the MSJ. He's still waiting on that call. Still waiting. Up to now, he hasn't got it. But this is the people who want to come and say this government can do nothing and Bassel Barat. I mean, come on. You're drinking your vomit. And you're smiling too. But if that is the case with one like Bassel Barat, who have plenty questions to answer, Trinidad and Tobago, be careful what all you're wishing for, because all of those who talking now, you see all of them going back where? And then you had these fence jumpers, the funeral fence jumpers now want to align themselves with the COP and NTA. Because poor people, they have nobody else to align themselves to. Apparently the UNC don't want them. So that's our next set of calculum we have to talk about at another time. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. I guess Bassad went to hell and he didn't like it, because I recall Kamla tell him, country before party, then go to hell. So all hell must probably be too hot. So he changed his mind. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic!
Oh, Lord. Yes, sir.
What's going on?
All is well.
Everybody.
Yes, sir. Greetings.
Everything good afternoon, nice to say, no, she don't miss your program, she have PNM and she listening now.
She has good taste.
Hey, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I'm still trying to say how there are people in the PNM who's trying to undermine he and Dr. Rowley. And to add insult to injury, Dr. Rowley came after and said how now is no time for fighting on the executive. Dominic, you think I'm surprised at what's going on now?
What's going on?
Acting Prime Minister? I will leave it here.
Leave it. This one is something else, you know. Lord Father. But I find they are finally telling us nothing about the many deals that are being signed. The gas deals, the Dragon gas deal, the Mannequin Coquina deal, all of these things. I know your man like to talk about Maduro and so forth. Priscilla says, what Rowley do now? Oh, gosh. All right, call me back. Probably do another 15 minutes or so. Joycelyn Smallwhite says that will be the end of Trinidad and Tobago. Them on the opposite side, come in God forbid they are not coming back, as Mother Tuna Puna says. Blessings. That's so true. And what people need to understand is with all this opportunity and that will be coming 2027 onward with respect to the gas deals, Lauren Manatee, Mannequin Coquina, Dragon Gas deal, and so on. Do you want to empower a government that is going to use all of the monies that will be coming from these projects to give handouts, or government that is going to be using these monies for handout? As we see in taking place now, that the money ain't come yet. We're now signing agreements, right? And the monies that we currently getting from what we currently have is being used to provide opportunities for young people and the young at heart to become business owners, entrepreneurs. This government not talking about creating jobs. No 55,000 jobs as the leader of the opposition is promising, right? This government wants to create 2,000 entrepreneurs by 2025. This is separate and apart from those entrepreneurs in the agri-sector. That is what this administration is about. Take, for example, what happened the other day when the yachties came in under Hurricane Beryl, and we had all the yachties from Grenada and other parts coming to Trinidad. Remember, there was a complaint about the amount of paperwork that they had to do and fill out and whatnot and stuff, and Trinidad is behind. And now the Minister of Trade and Industry has indicated that this online system where they'll be able to fill in the information beforehand is going to be put in place, so no more paperwork and stuff. This is a government that listens and acts on what needs to be done, right? But they don't talk about that, you know. You know what I will tell you? You know why they do it? It's because the woman who talk about it, she's at 1%. Is some Abu who talk about it, and that's why they implement it. Idiots. That's what I'm gonna say. So get this. Eric.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Romain, good afternoon. I know it'll be hard to get to this program now on a Sunday, you know. But good afternoon to all the listeners, the callers, the followers of debunking and facts of stubborn things and the last segment. Dominic, let me correct you one time. It's not country before party. The woman say party before country, otherwise go to hell.
No, she said, right? Vasad Bharat said,
before country.
No, Vasad Bharat said country. No, Vasad Bharat said country before party. So she said, well, a country before party, then go to hell. You go to hell with it. But like he went to hell and he didn't like it and he decided, all right, he got with party before country.
He going back now.
Yeah.
So he reneging on what he says. So
yes.
He's not country before party. He got to support party before country.
Correct.
But I want to take on Vasad Bharat. These persons have no shame whatsoever. Dog refuse to eat the shame. You telling me you went against this Parliament into the election, I think it was 2017, 2018 or something around there, come over the year, right? You lost. You had all manner to say against the leader, right? During the pandemic, Dr. Rowley organized a panel or a team to deal with the recovery and all the things, and he was part of that team. You went down Moruga Timberland, you supported Gypsy, as you can for that area. You supported Richie Sukai as he came across to the PNM, right? You had all kind of things to say. You, Fuad Khan, David Barrage, and Ramona Ramdial had all kind of things to say about the UNC and the leadership. So is it possible that we're going to see Fuad Khan jump back into the UNC, Ramona Ramdial jump back into the UNC, and rename
pretty damn near ready. Right? So is it possible that they're going to jump back? Because if you could say all these things, right, and the leader of that so-called party go call you, message you, and tell you, here is now, Basant, you know, according to she tell him, Gary, what in the past. Yeah, let me move on now. Let me join forces because we real enemies the PNM. And these are the people that only want to run the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago in 2025 and beyond. Really? That come like you piss in my face and tell me rain falling. And the people in St. Augustine that the superior bat going to put to run that seat, going to vote for that man come 2025. You know why? All them don't see is party. They don't see nothing other than party. Right? My party, the hell was the country. Once he look like me, I go support him no matter what. And this is why every single election down in Central and South Trinidad, right? They don't see the issues of the country at the end of the day or what's going on in our development. All them seeing is race, party, and nepotism, right? They've Vassan Bharat, right? You endorsing human trafficking, weren't you the same one that was vocal about human trafficking in the party back in 2010 to 2015 and 2015 to 2020 when certain allegations was made against a prominent person who is not member of parliament for Cuba? Not you was the same person that spoke vocal about that. You and David Mirage, like I forget that you had to, that the so-called member of parliament had given you proposal which you turned down. If you get that David Mirage, I mean Fastan for them is the same blasted thing. You understand? Right? So you Vassan Bharat, you endorsing the AMBD scandal that you were vocal against, right? You endorse issuing firearms, you endorse cronyism, stand your ground, racism, divisive tactics. Right? You support all, you endorse all them things because you were vocal against that. So it goes to show that once a knife and fork Indian will always be a knife and fork Indian, no matter what. Because the Superior said it, all this elite. So apparently, like the knife and fork Indian and the elites, they have an issue now because they realize that these people, they kind of breaking away from the party. So she tried to include them now back into the folds of the UNC. So that's why she called back Vassan Bharat. So, hey, hear what? All them elites and them, bring them back to the party. You understand? It's a shame and a disgrace to see what the UNC has come to. And mind you, Dominic, before I go, she went in the political cemetery and resurrect Mervyn, what an ass I am. You understand? She went and resurrect a man who had so much questions to answer under the Basio Pandey administration. Mervyn, what an ass I am. You understand? So it goes to show that when you are desperate measures call for desperate actions. And this superior bad will go at any length and breadth, right? To see who, what, and which area she could join up with just to get into office. Don't offer the NTA and the hope, as Brian said, because it's for another day. Because you can't tell me, Dominic, that last night, yesterday, make 24 years of the attempted coup in this country. And UNC3 had the audacity to interview this diremount called G-string, right? Who come out and say, oh, the anniversary, like we have no democracy in the country again. So this is another coup that's going on right now because you have the democracy. May I have some words for G-string, aka diarrhea around the mouth, right? Would you, in the Kamala said administration, Minister of National Security, you sat there and all these things took place under your watch, what you did, but now you're coming because you want to be vocal, I want to talk, right? Because you have a mouth to talk and you want to diarrhea out of it at the same time, right? To come and levitate on people. All of this is desperation. All of the hope, NTA, PEEP, all of them desperate right now. They want to get their hands to the treasury. All of them. They're not about country. They're about themselves and their people who look like them. They want to finance them people and themselves. Dominic, as I always say, 2025 is a year ahead. People, we have to be observant. They want to come in all forms and fashions. Come and get your according to come and get your fridge, stove, washing machine. Take it and vote their ass out. Because all of them is a disgrace to this country. Right now, Dr. Rodney P. them have all them going mad right now in this country. You understand? People, we have our work cut out. Let us be focused. Let us continue charting the cause and bringing the facts to the people. Dominic, good program. Lots of listening.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Here again.
Hi.
When that clown called Agent Ishmael with PNM, when they cesspit he worried, Ishmael, you're the cesspit. You see the heart you have, the 1.9 million, will stop taking by the end of the year. Because you're ungrateful, hypocrite. You are a rainbow politician, getting every damn thing and a blinking market too. You have been rejected and come by PNM. Typical little insecure want-to-be Ken knock-off doll. You're close to death. Do you better now? By the end of the day, in short, you'll be no more, you know. And what I say that myself, why I say that? Because when Khan became Prime Minister, I told people that. Either Archie, I told people that. Airport scandal, I told people that. Did I tell you? Dig a hole. Because you insignificant, irrelevant, want to be politician. You jump like a flipping mosquito. You go from host to host to host. Looking to be something. You are nothing but an insecure reject from Genesis. Because in generation of Ishmael, you were the outside of Abraham. You still toting up from Hagar days. Make sure you cover for down here and invite them. I will laugh at your death. I'm gonna get by.
See, leave it there. I thought you told me it was only call once. You don't like to call twice. What you? Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
But Dominic.
Yeah, I don't hear say. I thought they say I don't like you. I don't like to call twice.
But you know, I don't like to call twice.
Okay.
But you call me out.
All right.
Dominic. Remember I told you I rest my case with this oil ladida. Because his OFAC, that is his uni license to the government. OFAC is America. Remember, Dr. Rowley said he asked for 10 years. Why he didn't get 10 years?
Dr. Rowley said he asked for 10 years?
Yes.
When Dr. Rowley said that?
So you didn't hear Dr. Rowley say that?
No.
He asked for a 10-year contract?
No.
Let's go back and check. You know, just check. Dr. Rowley said he asked for a 10-year contract. They give him 2 by 2. That's because all the nonsense he was doing, Dominic.
Oh,
Dominic, arrest my case. Again, I will leave it here.
What's the time there? 2:31. All right. 10 minutes again, and then I go. Eric.
Yeah. I had to respond to the video.
Oh, Lord.
And I think, no, you see, Dominic, no. I just appreciate, we just appreciate when you come in because you know you must find a rotten apple in the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you see, when you're having misinformation and disinformation, I just have a serious problem with that. I won't leave it there, right? To send you, Dominic, the link, the clipping of what Dr. Roddy said, just so easy. You understand? Because clearly, you have an agenda against Dr. Roddy, and I keep saying, Dr. Roddy is a married man. Dr. Roddy is not involved in your relationship. Leave it there. Get the clipping and send it to Dominic, and Dominic will send it to me, and I will do what I do with it. You understand? Stop preaching or spewing misinformation. Leave it there. Get that link and send it to Dominic. And I'll come to Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, very quickly. Eric, I hope you listened to, I knew you would have listened to the show today, the program today. So that list you gave us last week, you have to add more to it. So you can always go back over this program, Dominic Romain's program, and add to that list. And you must read it out every so often. So to remind everybody about all of these things, and you could also add to it the food cards that were worth $30,000 a day that we found recently. That's why the lady from where it is, Shogona East, was having difficulty in trying to explain herself. So you could also add what Dominic indicated to us today and add it to the list of things, of the things that UNC will have to answer for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Brian. Things that they have to answer for, because there's still a lot that they have not answered for. When they get back into office, you can expect there will be no answer. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Dominic, I have a call up in response to understand the idea. You know, ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. You know why? You see that Dr. already doing that pack of nonsense, right? So let me give you a video example, right? When this country and rule over the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the foreign government took the measures to protect us from this country, from the scourge of COVID-19. You're doing nonsense. Huh? When Dr. Rowley decided to call out the program for youth to get acres of land, just sign up to the housing program and everything. And if you participate in the agriculture program, you get a house, money. Dr. Rowley doing nonsense. And that was Mr. Division, it means he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When Dr. Rowley was able to bring back the money from the airport scandal, almost $1 billion, Dr. Rowley doing nonsense. Mr. Division, answer these questions now. When he reorganized Petroleum, the inclusion now, he reorganized and bring out the different subsidiaries. Dr. Rowley doing nonsense. Now, next thing what you gotta do, right? You see what people say that people hungry and thing, all over the malls, right? There's not people for sale, right? Could you get your camera or your phone and take pictures of what's going on there? Because I see, you see people who complain things are hard in this country. They go into McDonald's, they go into Caesar's Pizza, they go into Popeyes, Popeyes. Yeah, they go into Church's Chicken, and they buy and taking all their money, eating on our weekdays. But things hard in this country. Extra food, open up a branch house of people Sunday. But things hard in this country. Could you just, when you have time, just go and take pictures and post it in your Facebook page, please? Dominic, you could do that?
I'm sure we can pull it up, don't worry.
Yeah, things hard in this country. And Dr. Probably doing nonsense, right? Have a good day, though.
You too, sir. Oh, Lord. But there you see where this goes? You need to give some positive commentary. But anyway, when the gas money starts rolling, we're going to hear a different story. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, sir, good afternoon.
Just one quick point. Did you read the Tuesday Business Guardian article by senior business writer Andrew Wilson?
No, I didn't.
Well, he had a topic saying, would a floating of the TT dollar solve our fiscal problems? Right? And basically saying, well, we will not call it a devaluation, but we will call it floating. And we should let the dollar float around $9 for $1 US dollar. Where local businesses will have more money to diversify and expand their businesses, where the government could create some way of price control to make it easier for citizens to buy food, and one sort of nonsense. Now, I know on Tuesday's show you mentioned, well, you want to wait until next year to be election time to start to reactivate and remind people what the election manifesto says. I think you should revisit that and don't wait till then.
Okay.
Do it now. Because if media personnel are trying to perpetuate this nonsense, right? Now it is very imperative that they start doing it now, every single day now. But I continue to share what I have constantly online. We have to do it now, every single one of us.
Right.
We can't wait till next day. Because right now the media is in full attack mode for the event. They're in full attack mode. And brainwashing people with supporting the idea of a devalued TT dollar to crash this economy. That's all I have to say, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Well, I will definitely then revisit the UNC's manifesto vis-a-vis that article. I'll try and find it, because the UNC's manifesto does in fact speak to a devaluation of the TT dollar should they come back into office next year. They have indicated, and I've said on numerous occasions, they will not do like the current administration to use the country's foreign reserves to defend the current exchange rate, but rather they will simply seek to stockpile foreign exchange, and in so doing, cause the TT dollar to depreciate against the US. So that is definitely something to be concerned about. Among some of the other ridiculous things where they're going to ask the central bank to increase interest rates, deposit rates. But I don't know who is the economist that, well, Dave Tanku is supposed to be the economist in the UNC, and he can't tell them that makes no sense. Because if you tell, first of all, you cannot instruct the central bank to increase interest rates, because if they do that, banks will tell you, well, all right, if we have to increase deposit rates, then we need to increase the lending rates to earn the interest to be able to pay the higher deposit rates, which means the rates on loans will go up, the rates on mortgages will go up, and by extension, businesses that are borrowing will be paying more money, more interest to borrow, and that they're going to hike up the prices of their goods and services to make the money to pay this higher interest. So something had to be wrong with them. Mr. Chance.
Yes, good afternoon, Dominic.
Greetings, sir. I am good.
Yes, I want to thank all of you for your very kind wishes and your comments.
Yes.
On my birthday yesterday, it was very cool and quiet.
Nice.
And calm and everything. I want to thank all of you for your very, very kind comments. Everyone for your very kind comments. I do appreciate it a lot.
Yes.
I just want to make a small contribution.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we have touched on so many different areas.
Yes.
So since this is the Olympic season, and I've spent a big part of my life in sport.
Yes.
I thought I would just give a little insight. Because a lot of us, we looked at the march past and the opening ceremony and stuff, and we saw 17 of our athletes there at the Olympic Games. I want us to understand, they didn't get it by vaccine. The government has an input of millions of dollars in financial assistance to get our athletes there. And this government in particular, over the last 9 years, has spent over $200 million in giving assistance. You see all those basketball association, football association, cricket association, waiting again a lot of the subvention from to run the organization. The government, $200 million, and this government has the distinction of introducing two very, very, very important incentive programs to our young athletes. And by the way, our athletes in Trinidad and Tobago are what we call ordinary citizens. So when we talk about $200 million, we're talking about $200 million put for the development of ordinary people, or athletes, or footballers, or track and field people, are all ordinary people. But because the government wants to direct a lot of assistance in the development of sport, because many of us we want to go into agriculture, we want to go into entrepreneurship, and then the work done by Mr. Foster Cummins and others, but those who want to use sport as a career. And do you know that the government have two very special incentives? While our elite athletes, that's those who go to the Olympic Games, the Commonwealth Games, the Pan Am Games, they call them elite athletes. They get financial assistance to prepare when they go from one country to the next. They get financial assistance to buy supplements and to buy equipment and so on. Nicholas Paul, he gets assistance to purchase his bicycles, very expensive. So the government is just sitting there, they're clapping. So when you see the athletes return, and they return with success, the government has a right to be in the airport. Because I can tell you, it's millions of dollars spent on our athletes. But let me tell you about the two programs that have been introduced by this government. One is called the Reward Financial Assistance Program. You see that Olympic Games going there? Any citizen of Trinidad and Tobago in the Olympics who gets a gold medal gets $1 million cash. Silver medal, $500,000. Bronze medal, $250,000. And for the other games, like the Commonwealth Games and the Caribbean Games, they all get cash payment. Not $1 million, but it is done in a pro rata rating, coming down gradually, and you will get. So Nicholas Paul has been getting incentive money. Whenever you see him win the Pan Am Games, going with that is cash, And Trinidad and Tobago is one of the few countries in the Caribbean that have those two programs. We help our athletes to prepare for the Olympics, to prepare for the Commonwealth Games, and we give them a reward if they make gold medals. You see that professional football league that is going on in this country? They're receiving $3 million a year from the government. I sure you didn't know that. You see them playing professional football. You feel it's just so? The government is providing $3 million a year. And let me close off by telling you, in addition to all of that, the government has paid significant attention to the infrastructure so that the ordinary citizens can go and trade and develop. Let me give you a quick idea as I leave. Refurbishing on the Skinner Park. You remember Skinner Park down there in South? $151 million.
The Biennial Cricket Academy, 110 million. The upgrade of the .47 High Oval, 40 million. New things happening during the course of these 9 years. Refurbishing of the Palo Seco Venezuela, down south, Brian. Yes, that is on the way. 40 million. That is still on the road. Maruga Youth Sporting Complex, the all in Maruga, $30 million. Here's the Comfort Stadium right now.
Hello? Hello?
Attention to other areas of life in this country. Sport, our young people who are interested in it. And let me close off by giving you something that very few countries in the Caribbean can boast of. Establishment of community swimming pools. Yeah? You have the Laventille community swimming pool, remember that? Yes, you have the Mova community swimming pool. You have a new one in Malabar community swimming pool. Yes, and we have the Maloney community swimming pool. And with a little expectation, we soon will get the Tunapuna community swimming pool. And I'm giving you all of that so you understand that when you hear the government is spending money, a lot of attention is being paid to people at the lower end of the spectrum. And sport is one of those areas where the government has spent a lot of money. Let me repeat by telling you, 200 million over the last 9 years. And we have also refurbished, upgraded, and introduced new facilities throughout Trinidad and Tobago. By the way, it's Dwight York as well. I thought I'll just give you an insight into while we are looking at the Olympic Games, to know that the government is not standing with its hands behind its back. And sport development is playing a very important part in the development of the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for the time, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. I will also draw attention to the fact that Bassan Barra talking about most development took place under the two UNC administrations. The building that he was occupying in St. Clair, the ministry, which was the head office for the Ministry of Food Production, as it was called under them. For those of you who know, that building was run down, old, beat up looking, terrible. For the 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days they were in office. Right? If that building was an eyesore, and he occupied that for the time that he was Minister of Food Production. In fact, when this administration came in, the first intention was to tear down that building and construct a hotel on the site. The government instead took the decision to refurbish the building, and it now houses the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. And that is one of the most beautiful buildings around that area there, right? So it supports the Magnificent Seven, 6 of which the government would have had a hand in refurbishing. We know the 7th one, which is Ambad House, is still, you have persons living in the house, and so therefore the government has not been able to really do anything. The National Trust would have approached the owners of the home, the residents, to ask if some contribution could be made. We could assist them in at least fixing up the front, so that when tourists come and they want to take photos and so on. But he was in that building. They spent money to buy Porsche Cayenne, and that building was looking run down and old. This government came and fixed it, refurbished it. Now it's a beautiful building, repurposed, right? And now housing the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and saving the government rent money. Saving the government rent money. But he wanted to talk for the whole time. Every day you go into that building and you didn't see the need to have it refurbished. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, driving from her every day when she leave her office, marveled by where the Prime Minister's office was there opposite Queen's Royal College to the back. She passed in that building every day on her way to the Queen's Park Savannah to board the helicopter to go to the Pink Palace. Watching that building, imagine every single day she passing in front of the Magnificent Seven and seeing Millefleur, which was now restored and refurbished under this administration and making money. She was passing in front of that building every day, boarded up. It was looking terrible. on the verge of collapsing and did nothing about it. She passed the other as well. The Roman Catholic Archbishop, that building was good. Whitehall, which was in a state of disrepair, you were seeing the rafters and stuff falling, looking terrible. The building needed to be clean. Today, when you look at Whitehall, clean, pristine. She, as Prime Minister, driving past that every day on her way to board the helicopter. 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, did nothing about it. Right? You had Stallmeyer's Castle was just there, grass growing in the yard. Nothing, underutilized. Today, refurbished, making money. Every day she passing by that, you know. The money that she was spending to board helicopter to go down to the Pink Palace, they couldn't use that. But today, the Magnificent Seven, save and except one, is restored. And I always recall a conversation I had with the former charge d'affaires of the U.S. Embassy when he was still here. And we had a function at Millfleur. And he came and, we were talking, and he was telling me one of the things that he always looks forward to since he's come to Trinidad. Every Sunday, he would bring his son and his wife just to walk that stretch, and how he admired, what this administration has done with those buildings and that entire area. Every day, Passad Bisessa passing, well, when she came to the office, because she had a 5-day weekend, but when she passed in and swinging, so President's house, that was in a state of disrepair, the portion that collapsed, and all they did for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days was to put up this canopy in a mess. President's house, no less. Right, one of our heritage buildings. You're passing there all the time, boarding the helicopter right opposite President's house, and it never dawned on you, look, all this money, highest energy revenues in the country's history. Let's fix this. Let us fix this. Never do that. But when, their budget to fix it was 169 million. This administration did it for 89, and they had a problem with that. But you established budget and all of that, and for the whole time you were there, did nothing. This government came in and fixed it. Today, the president now lives in President's house, right? And now when tourists come, they could go and take pictures. There's something worthy of taking pictures around that entire block there. But while they were in there, nothing. Terrible looking. That is the regard that they have for our heritage buildings. Didn't care to fix it, but spending money on all kind of other things. The $1 billion that they wasted on beat and wastewater could have gone, that could have fixed all of that. That was not concern to them. But Vassan Bharat have the audacity and the temerity to talk rubbish about under them, the most amount of development took place. That's what they call development, because he too was passing by those buildings every day on his way to the office and looking at it. And I saw, never decided, let me go to cabinet, let me talk to the minister under whose responsibility, the Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration. Those buildings were under that ministry. You ever pick up the phone and call Roger, what's his name again? Oh gosh, can't remember his last name, Roger, whatever. And say, Clifton de Coto at one time was the minister for that ministry. You ever pick up the phone and say, bring a note to cabinet and do something with at least a couple of these buildings now. We at least restore Whitehall or something now. No. And if they were in office, it would probably still be, Millfleur would have been gone. Right? Because when this administration came in, the advice was to tear it down and build over and rebuild a replica, because it was in a terrible, terrible state. Those of you, the Red House was in a terrible state. This government did that. PNM did that, not them. So when he wants to come and talk stupidness about, they did so much in 11 years that they were in office with respect to developing this country. Miss me with that BS. But anyway, he is where he should be. Right? That is the perfect place for him to be. Dishonest. He said, they have no problem eating the vomit. But he made sure to say, she called him. She called him. Let's see where that goes. And who else they're going to call. But they could call who they want. They curtail book next day. Right? Understand the assignment. They curtail book. Folks, thank you so much again for joining me. Went well over today, but that's all right. Kudos to the folks our Olympians, right? Hope that they will be able to bring home a couple medals or two. Notwithstanding the criticism that they've gotten for their kits, but that's all right. So we're wishing them the best of luck. I see the West Indies take some licks again, but oh gosh. Keep hope alive. Just rally around the West Indies. Rally around the West Indies. Christopher says the birthday good. Christopher, I'm seeing here today is your birthday. That is in fact so. Happy birthday to you, sir, on behalf of all of us here, all of the listeners, of Facts Are Stubborn Things. Hazel says, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. You too, Hazel. Also, Donna, Gail Rambali as well, Alicia Almonde Roche, all of you guys, Annette Baird. Yes, well, don't worry. Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday's a holiday. So, yeah. I need to find out from my admin if they plan to carry the emancipation procession. If not, well, then 11 o'clock Tuesday. But if they're carrying it, we'll see how we could move over that, right? But Tuesday morning, God's willing, for sure. We'll chat again. We will discuss Mr. Vincent Nelson and the article in the newspaper today. And we will talk about what the media wouldn't talk about, right? And we will tie it in to the misinformation with respect, again, to Malcolm Jones and that whole affair. We will discuss that Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks, the rest of your holiday. Have a productive week. And we will chat on Tuesday.